Hello YouTube, and here you go with a YouTube exclusive. We ended up not streaming this for the ManaTraders series, we ended up just recording it. We had quite a blast doing so. Now, we have a question for you though. This will be Red Prison in our ManaTraders series, and it was 9 matches in a row. Now, I could split this into 2 because it's about 5 and 4, which is the normal league video, or we could keep it as 1. Making it 1 makes it a very large video though, and usually I'll get about 2 videos out of something that takes this long. So, let me know, 1 video or 2 videos in the future. In this case, it'll be 1. So enjoy Red Prison, see how we did against the meta of ManaTraders. Let's get to that deck tech, that intro, and what we did. Hello there, YouTube. All right, so we've got ourselves a little ManaTraders series this weekend. We're going to be playing some lucky Red 7 Blood Moon Prison deck here. You all have seen this list a couple times now. We basically have 21 lands and 9 ritual effects. We have 14 lock pieces, 3 Magus and 4 Blood Moon, bringing it up from the normal 12. We have Karn the Great Creator and Chandra Torch of Defiance. We also have Batterskull here instead of Darksteel Citadel. Our flex spots or things that get us through to hopefully the later game is Seasoned Pyromancer, Bone Crusher Giant, Abrades, and Anger of the Gods. With that being said, we're coming up on match 1 here in the challenge. Well, really in the ManaTraders series, a GP-like event. If you're interested, definitely check out ManaTraders, and we'll leave a link down in the description below. Let's see how we do. We'll see you in match 1. All right, we have the ManaTraders series here. It is 10 a.m. Eastern. Unfortunately, Cab Z has taken our spot. We're trying to get against Cairo 4 here. So we'll give it a good shot here at trying to find Cairo 4 to be played against. Let's grab this game. Let's see how things go. Match 1 coming up. Now, in this series, you actually have the ability to find your opponent and get their deck list. Go ahead and give it good luck. I assume we're good to start. I'm not worried about our clock. So we have an opportunity to find our opponent in the deck list options. And this opponent, believe they are on a Rakdos Death Shadow. Doesn't tell me what's in the sideboard and what's in the main based on what I saw there. But we'll just make the assumption that the last few cards in the list were in the sideboard. My opponent has very little answers to actually Artifact's main deck, so we'll see what happens there. All right, as soon as you're paired, you're good to start. All right, let's play then. Looks like we're good. Looks like we're good. All right, we are on the play here. I have a Chalice and a Braid and an Anger of the Gods. Now what's interesting is having a bit of knowledge of what my opponent's playing. The Chalice of the Void is actually decent in beating them if they have a more aggressive hand. If they have a less aggressive hand and end up Thought Seizing, we've got a little bit of trouble here. I think I've still got to keep this. The Chalice is pretty good even though it's not on turn 1. We'll see how things go here against our opponent. Let's see what they want to do with their opening. Give us the good luck, have fun. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. All right. A little bit new. I haven't played in one of these series just yet. So it'll be an experience for all of us. We'll see how we do. I'm not streaming the first one. I'm not so worried about getting this on, say, Twitch at the moment. There's quite a few people. I'm sure they can grab a couple games for their streaming. And if we're doing pretty good and don't drop, we'll give them something to watch. All right, Bloodstained Mire here. My opponent knows I'm on Blood Moon. I'm just hoping I can get this Chalice down. We're expecting, say, a Thoughtseize here. Anything less than a Thoughtseize would be nice, though. Inquisition takes the Chalice. Goodbye, Chalice. Alright, we never really take damage from anything, so we're pretty safe from, say, a Scourge for a little bit. We'll play our Mountain and pass the turn. Opponent fetching a Blood Crypt here is a little surprising since we do know deck lists. They could have easily fetched a basic Swamp. If we end up finding a Blood Moon, it's going to be really good, and we have several to find. Sunbait Canyon for our opponent. Swift Spear. In response to any prowess, I will probably go ahead and fire this off. I don't want to take any damage. Thoughtseize is just going to take Anger the Gods as a card that can interact with our opponent. Once again, what's really nice here is we're not going to take any damage, so if they have some Scourges, it's just not going to bother us. Looking for bridges, looking for Karn, Chandra, looking for some of these cards that can help us find a lock here against our opponent in game number 1. Fingers crossed we can do that. Opponent's going to go ahead and play a Bomat. Bomat's pretty nice here. Bomat gets under a lot of things. Luckily, we have our 4th land and we have Rituals, so if we ever find that bridge, we're good to go here. We have a Seasoned Pyromancer, which is pretty nice. So, in light of not ever getting to really do this, I could Desperate Ritual and Splice. Doing that would give me 6 mana, allowing Seasoned Pyromancer plus a follow-up 3-drop. The follow-up 3-drop could be Bomat or Bone Crusher. Could be Bridge, could be Blood Moon. I would miss out on some tokens here. I'm sort of tempted to go ahead and try this, though. I don't get to do this very often, so let's go ahead and cast and Splice here. And what's super nice is I still get a token here if I do the 6. And I think 6 is fine here. A 3-drop's preferred. If I hit a Karn or I hit something else, I don't think I'm going to need to really play that immediately. So Seasoned Pyromancer make an extra chump blocker here. Maybe hit a 3-drop. Well, we hit Chandra plus Simian Spirit Guide. Probably the best thing we could hit. So we'll do that. I don't know if I'm supposed to tick this down or not. I think I'm going to go up for mana here, not to encourage them to be on Death Shadow just yet. And we'll pass the turn. This would require 2 bolts here. Bolting once, bolting again, and then playing Death Shadow is an option. They could swing here, and I have a couple blockers, so that feels pretty safe too. It does appear we have some sort of bolt, and they're going to go ahead and just bolt us upstairs. This is to enable a Scourge, and right now we're at 16, which allows me to down tick and kill the Scourge if they do play it, which is a really important thing right now in the game. All right, Night's Whisper, our opponent is just going to draw some cards here, looking for ways to interact with us. If this stays and they don't hit another land, we're in really good shape. Bomat won't attack into Seasoned Pyromancer, that would just lose itself. All right, if we can just safely uptick here, we'll play a Mountain after upticking. We end up having a Gemstone Caverns. I think I want to go ahead and hold the Mountain. We're not in really any danger here. Probably am okay to go ahead and attack with a Seasoned Pyromancer. At this point, I could play the Mountain in case they killed this, but I think we're safe to not worry about that. I want to encourage them to burn an Inquisition or a Thoughtseize here, and I don't really think Chandra getting to Emblem status is necessary this game anymore. If anything, the only thing that's scary now, I think, is Luris here. Scourge and Death Shadow are definitely scary, but with Seasoned Pyromancers, we're okay. Temur Battle Rage is our worst nightmare. We do hit that quite frequently. Best top deck would probably be Chalice or Bridge at this stage, but I don't mind threatening some damage here with like Seasoned Pyromancer. All right, let's see what they end up playing here. I don't think Bomat's going to really bother us. Extra Bomat here is completely fine. And plus what, Swift Spear? Extra Bowman. All right, my opponent's okay to go to 5 here. This would put them to 3. Bone Crusher would put them to 1. Extra Chandra will put them to 1. Karn would probably mean lethal with a Walking Ballista. Opponent attacks us with a pair here. I'm just going to let this fly through. This does make Scourge large enough to potentially kill us. Raminot Ruins is lethal here, so we just go up for damage. Puts them to 3. We attack with both of these, and Raminot Ruins is a lethal draw here in game number 1. Looking pretty good to start us off here. Pretty happy about this one. Attacking with both Bowmats. I understand the reasoning behind that. They don't want to attack with one and then I just block, but this is a pretty sweet draw. Right, a little Raminot Ruins to lead it off here. There you go. All right. Whew. Game 1 done here. Looking pretty good. Seasoned Pyromancer and Bone Crusher Giants to follow up are going to be pretty good as well. All right, let's go to game number 2. Now, I think I want to go ahead and bring in the Kozilek's Returns and Abrades and the Rabble Masters. The Kozilek's Returns is probably the last thing I want to be bringing in. This matchup's a bit interesting because Magus of the Moon and Blood Moon are decent. I can trim some of these, but Blood Moon by itself is still pretty good. I trim the Maguses because my opponent doesn't have usually a way to get rid of an enchantment. And in this case, I know my opponent doesn't have one of those. Sideboard-wise, based on their deck list, it does look like they have K-Command, if I'm reading this correctly. And so we have that we need to worry about. So Magus of the Moon kind of dies to that, dies to Bolt, dies to a lot of things. So we're going to strip this out. We're going to replace that with Rabble Master. Because they have so many Bowmats, it's kind of funny to have something that kills an artifact. That shouldn't matter, though. Kozilek's Return probably doesn't get played here because Prowess is just too easy to trigger, and that would end up killing, preventing us from killing them. So I'm liking this Abrade. The question is, what do we want to take out? A couple Bone Crusher Giants are nice. I usually swap one Abrade in for a Bone Crusher Giant. I already have one main deck Abrade. So trying to find a slot here for this Abrade is kind of an interesting problem. To me, you could definitely lock your opponent out by like taking a Chandra out here and taking the Chandra out and then putting an Abrade in. And this is definitely an option. This Abrade is really just probably more important to kill some of the smaller creatures to prevent Scourge from killing you. So we're going to do this swap. The alternate is probably just a Blood Moon out for the Chandra. And I'll sit here for about 20 seconds and think about that. The reason to maybe do the Chandra still in the Blood Moon is if a Scourge does get to about 4, Chandra is an out to that. What's nice is Blood Moon itself is probably just a generalized out to some of the black cards as well. My opponent does know that we play Blood Moon and probably is willing to fetch basics and be more safe. With that being said, we could just go Blood Moon out and Chandra in. I'm going to try to spike a Blood Moon perhaps on turn 1 here, knowing that a Thoughtseize could take it. But we'll try to do that plus the Chalice. All right, we'll be on the draw here. We do have several Gemstone Caverns, though. We see if we run into one of those. Opening hand is a very interesting one. It's a 1-lander, but it has Chalice here. We do know about K-Command as a problem card. I think we could keep this. It's a 1-lander, but I think the upside of this one is fairly large. Being relatively Thoughtseize proof here is kind of interesting. Now, my opponent could get kind of greedy here and take the Simian Spirit Guide, but I think if they're taking the Simian Spirit Guide, we're in okay shape here, having some good cards here. Blood Crypt initially for my opponent and leading off with a Swift Spear. This almost certainly means I'll be slamming a Blood Moon. We're hoping to draw another land, and we do. So this is a really pretty good start here. Let's go ahead and Blood Moon them out and hope that that basic that they probably need is not in hand, and we'll follow it up with a Chalice of the Void. From there, we'll just need to get a bridge and some way to prevent a K-Command. All right, so we stop them in this fashion. Point in here. hitting all of our lands, so it's looking pretty good. I'll happily put a Chalice on 1 to prevent future Swift Spears and future Bowmats. This should slow the game down considerably, and with the Seasoned Pyromancer here next, should be pretty good to go. There's a Bobble. It doesn't appear my opponent has a Braids. Just taking a quick gander since deck lists are available. Bloodstained Mire, this is also going to stop Luris from coming down. They do put Luris in the hand. This is pretty typical at this point because my opponents don't have much else to do. Bobble Trigger here draws an extra card. We're going to get a Seasoned Pyromancer. I'm probably going to go ahead and just Anger instead. I could wait and then just get double token here. Double token's probably reasonable. If I get double token and block, it's pretty rare that my opponent will have a way to stop that. I could Anger this. I could wait and be greedy too. I think digging's the smarter option here. I've got other Angers and ways to remove this Swift Spear. Let's go ahead and find more lands and some of our lock pieces. Extra Seasoned Pyromancer's okay. This land is pretty poor at this point, but hey, can't have everything. Opponent continues to be a red deck here, and we'll just play back and forth. Opponent does not attack either. Let's go ahead and make another token. I'm going to not play the Gemstone Caverns out, even though it could be an untapped land here. I'm not going to worry too much about it. Land and pass the turn. We're going to just leave ourselves with lots of blockers at this point. I don't want to enable a very slow Death Shadow here, and I want to be able to block this like crazy. All right. We can probably just send the Seasoned Pyromancers in now. There's really no reason to lose Elementals. I'd rather do this, and if they trade one of these, I can now pay to make some tokens. So we're going to just do this for a few turns here. See if my opponent has any instant speed spells they want to fire off to grow this and kill Seasoned Pyromancers. Opponent's move to discard here. Not fetching that basic was, well, potentially game ending. They had that opportunity, they went for the more aggressive line here. Rewarded us quite heavily. Looks like we are going to trade here. And I say trade, they're going to trade up here. Lightning Bolts countered. Cool. We still get in for a little bit of damage here. At this point, when we bring this back, we are going to go ahead and start attacking with everything, because now they have to either block here and pump, or they have all the 5 tokens hitting them. So either way, we're either doing 5 or 6 damage, which becomes a 2-turn clock. They can block over here and they take 6. Then they can block over here, and then the following turn we kill. So we're at a 3-turn clock if my opponent blocks in some fashion, like Elemental into Seasoned Pyromancer. We have Anger as a backup here. Looks like a good card to have. Looks like my opponent's going to have to block Seasoned Pyromancer next. We'll go ahead and swing. They'll block Seasoned Pyromancer. We'll make tokens at end step, and we'll hopefully have enough to get around them. Looking good here. Match number 1, taking down Rakdos Prowess here with a quick Blood Moon and a Chalice on 1 to protect from bolts. Good games. Good games. There you have it. Taking it down. Match 2 will be coming up shortly, I hope. We'll see you there. See how we continue to do. All right, we have the next match coming up here. Going to see who our opponent is, and it happens to be Spider Space, so we'll see how this goes. We'll wait for Spider to create the match, it looks like. We'll go ahead and jump in here as well. Oh boy. So deck lists are open. We do know what my opponent is playing. They're playing what appears to be a Charbelcher list. Turn 2 Karn would be really good. So I wish Spider a good luck having. All right. So we have a Blood Moon. We have it fairly quickly, and we have a Chalice. The Chalice could be put on 2, and that could be kind of an interesting line here from Spider kind of going off. But if they just get up to 4 mana, we're just going to sit here and not do anything. I think being on the draw here, I almost want to have some way to quickly get to Karn and not worry about the Chalice or the Blood Moon. Now the Blood Moon could stop a Reforge, or no, recross the path, which is decent in this matchup, but I don't know if that is... It's tough to say if that is worth doing just what Chalice potentially onto in the future and trying to stop something, because Charbelcher can just win. Let's go ahead and mulligan this opening hand. We have Karn here, but that's not going to do it here. Let's mulligan this one as well. Looks like the deck's just wanting us to play Blood Moon effects. Really don't like this hand either. I think we go one more. All right, keep this. I get 4 cards here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hope to hit a land. I could also keep the gemstones, have 1, 2, 3, 4, and just hope to hit a Karn. I have 4 Karns. Chandra Digging's probably not going to do us a lot. 2, 3, 4. I think I just keep all the lands here, and we will not spin this out. The benefit of knowing what our opponent is on. We'll take full advantage to that as best as we can here. Let's just top deck a Karn, right? Top deck Karn here. Come on. There's a Chalice. I can put a Chalice on 2. That may not matter here shortly. Definitely don't want to throw it on 1. A little bit rough here, but at least we had an opportunity here, game 1 against Spider. Spider not happy about ManaTraders setting us up here. All right, Spider, what do we got here? We have a Turn Timber. We're doing a ritual here. Couldn't even get the Chalice on 2. Another ritual here, and we have a Charbelcher. I need a Karn off the top or we lose. No Karn. We're going to the next game. All right. We'll respect that he had what he needed. All right, Pithing Needle can come in here. We have a Braids. Rabble Master needs to come in here to be aggressive and quick. I can play a Damping Sphere here as well. Otherwise, I don't think I need anything else than these 6. Bridges and Angers can come out here. I do particularly want a Chalice. Let's see here. We have EEs, Veils, Ley Lines, Angers, Lightning Bolts, Flame Slashes, and Nature's Claim. So it's good to know it's the Claim as the way to get rid of a artifact, say Pithing Needle or Damping Sphere. I don't have anything else, so we're going to just submit this and go for it. Respecting our friend over there, Spider Space, probably has that 3rd land. They had about 4 or 5 turns to go find it anyway, so let's get to game number 2 here. Trying not to get blown out here by the quick and dirty Charbelcher list. Got to give it our best shot here. We know what we need. What's really nice is one of our bigger outs here being a Karn is really difficult for them to remove. They can with an Engineered Explosives if Karn didn't have a static ability. All right, game 2. This is going to be probably a quick round 2. Let's play first. All right, it's a turn 1 Rabble Master followed by a Stomp. I kind of like this as just a way to go quick here. We're going to go ahead and keep. The alternative is trying to find a way to interact with Charbelcher, and I think we just have to pick one or the other. We can't be searching for both. Spider mulls to 5 here, and if we have a quick Rabble Master, would be nice. They might be looking for that Nature's Claim. They do have a Lightning Bolt and Flame Slash, Anger. These are closer to one-ofs. So because they're one-ofs, I feel super safe to get this Rabble Master into play. I also like that I'll be able to do an additional 2 damage pretty quick as well. I'm not sure that makes it 3 turns quite. We'll see though. fast Rabble Masters here. Let's make it happen. A Braid would have been nice over Bone Crusher. A Braid would have been better over Seasoned Pyromancer. If we had the Abrade for the Seasoned Pyromancer swap here, it'd be super nice. All right, good luck. Rabble Master and go. This is going to be a quick clock indeed. We'll see if they have a way to interact with Goblin Rabble Master here. Turn Timber is a good one to see. I'm gonna just hit on curve here with everything. Go ahead and pass the turn. Down to 13, plus 2, puts them to 11. Probably no chance to put a Bolt Land in. We have a Shatter Skull here. Am I just dead? Don't do this to me. Recross the paths. Let's go ahead and stomp this. That'll put them to 8. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 exactly. So it is a lethal on turn 3 due to Bolt. And like I said, pretty quick here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't know if Spider's done the math just yet, but Spider should soon be dead. I don't foresee them having a way to gain any life here. Spider is stacking the list. I like though. They're playing it all the way out. A lot better than we did match or game 1. All right, we have a Goblin Rabble Master. We'll put that on top. That's pretty sweet. That also guarantees lethal here, but Rabble Master allows me to hit the F6 button, which we won't do. In we go, and lethal. All right, we had lethal regardless of the Rabble Master. Underneath the Rabble Master was a Pithy Needle. Good not to have to show that to them. All right, don't believe there's any changes here. Obviously, turn Rabble Master is good on the play. It's decent on the draw, but not maybe as useful. We'll be looking for Pithy Needles, Damping Spheres, or Fast Karns here. Wouldn't mind a Blood Moon to stop the recross the path, but won't be the first thing I'm looking for here. All right, we have an interesting hand here, and the reason it's interesting is I can Blood Moon to stop some stuff, and I have the Abrade to interact with Charbelcher. I think I can go ahead and keep this. It'll be interesting. I'm going to use Gemstone Caverns probably on a Blood Moon, keeping myself with Pyretic Simian and Abrade here as options. Claim could get rid of Blood Moon, and then they can stack their deck, so that's a thing that could happen. I don't see myself wanting to do Gemstones and put out like a ritual, though. I think I want everything, but I don't mind being able to play Blood Moon here on turn 2, maybe even turn 1 here. Green mana for our opponent. Land drop. All right, it's a ritual effect, so because it's a ritual effect, I'll go ahead and play the Blood Moon. Still have 4 mana here, and shutting them off a bit of green wouldn't be bad. My hope is they don't try to Ironcrag us. That'll be the hope here. All right, there's a Chandra. If they go for it here, we die anyway, so I'm going to play Chandra here and start upticking to start killing our opponents. We need them to not have all the mana when they play the Charbelcher down. Fingers crossed here. 3 mana for them. The other thing they could have is a Simian Spirit Guide. Okay. New Chandra. I think I just have to go up here for damage this turn. Although I could go down here. If I go down, we may be okay. I don't want to burn an Abrade here. A Stomp would be super nice to find. If they attack this, it's going to go from 6 down here. I think I just have to kill the Simian Spirit Guide this turn. Just need to respect that if they're playing a Simian Spirit Guide, they don't have a lot else going on. Maybe I can get lucky that they'll ritual out a Charbelcher here. So we've made green. Three mana recross. There we go. Okay. So we have to hope that when they stack the list here, that they stack it in such a way that we're able to interact with the Charbelcher and they don't have a bunch of mana. Probably the safest way to be able to do this would be actually through Pithy Needle or Damping Sphere at this point. Finding either of those on the top of the library gives us probably a chance here. I'm assuming that Manamorphose was found off the top. All right. So probably one card to go here. We didn't get to look at the top of the library because I didn't do the Chandra uptick for the damage. But this recross should almost certainly allow us to scry the card bottom or top. So we're still getting a similar effect here. We would be one deeper if I would have done this and missed. This recross then scry bottom if it wasn't something draw and then uptick. Damping Sphere is probably the card I want the most here, though. As silly as that sounds. That or Karn. Pithy Needle is okay. I'll take any of them. I'm doing some good stacking here. This game matters here. We have a Goblin Rabblemaster on top. I cannot take this card. Taking this card is just not a good thing here. They revealed a Turn Timber, which gives them their 4th mana. I'm going to bottom the Rabblemaster. I think I need to find a lock piece. Top of the library is a Simian Spirit Guide. All right. Up. A Chalice. I can put a Chalice on 0. I can't quite get a Chalice to 2, unfortunately. Putting it on 0 prevents a Pact of Negation. I don't want it on 1, I don't think. Let's go ahead and throw it on 0 here and leave ourselves with an Abrade. Putting it on 1, then my opponent can just combo out here. So we have Turn Timber showing up. There's a Reforge. Where'd the Turn Timber go? So we're casting a Reforge. Let's go ahead and exile Simian Spirit Guide here. Because each player is discarding their hand. Okay, well, we weren't going to draw anything that gets us out of this anytime soon. I don't think I have anything that can win here. Having the Abrade in hand was nice. We have a Manamorphose to draw deeper. Makes 2 mana. Turn Timber, 3 mana. 4 mana, Simian Spirit Guide. Ironcrag, 5 mana. I did not find my other Abrade. Voidsnare, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Okay. We go Chandra to our hand. There's the Ironcrag feat. Charbelcher. And activation. There you go. We did not have it there. Did not have it. Spider Space takes us down. That makes us 1-1. Next card was going to be a Karn. It's an extra. So if we had the Abrade, we weren't going to be able to use it because they had the Iron Crag anyway. So we needed to find that Pithy Needle. We had the Karn coming after the Reforge. The Reforge means we were going to be 7 deep. If we would have upticked him with the Rabble Master as well, it still would have put this into hand, but my opponent did combo out. Charbelcher takes us down. That makes us 1-1 in the series so far. We'll see you all in our next match after this one. All right, we have match 3 coming up here. The time just clicked over, so we're good to create our one. We're against Holler-Dustin, and it looks like Holler-Dustin is on a Jeskai Wildfire list, is what they've listed as. I wonder why it's called Wildfire. Cleansing Wildfire. Okay. So yeah, we have a Jeskai list, 3 Force of Negations main deck. Them knowing that we'll be on Blood Moon is going to be an interesting one. Let's go ahead and create our match here. See if our opponent can join us. Should be good to go. It is at noon Eastern time, so we're good to go. Queuing up. Actually, let me make sure I create this properly. Watchers are allowed. There we go. Watchers are allowed because I believe they can jump into our games and check them out. So let's get going here. I believe this is the next round. Round 3 here of the ManaTraders series. Playing that Blood Moon, Lucky 7 Blood Moon here. Seeing if we can't steal one away from our opponent. We've got our opponent here. Good luck. Have fun. We get to play first too. It's always a positive thing here. We'll go ahead and get going here. We won the die roll. We have a decent hand here, albeit Blood Moon not fast will be a little bit frustrating. 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right. So this is an interesting matchup because Cleansing Wildfire can actually beat us pretty easily. We're pretty much an underdog in this matchup. I'm not sure Anger and Chalice is where we want to be. We're going to go ahead and keep... I could put a Chalice on 2 after playing the Blood Moon and stop Cleansing Wildfires. We're going to leave with our Mountain and Pass turn. Huge underdog though, and especially a huge underdog since there's open deck lists. Probably only about 20% to win this. We'll see though, depends on how much my opponent's checked in on us. We'll go ahead and wait to do Chalice on 2 though. I think that's the smartest place to put this. Blood Moon into Chalice will be our plan. And as mentioned, Cleansing Wildfire can get them out of this. So we'll just have to accept that fate. We do have a Magus here, which is kind of an interesting one. Magus gets around Force of Negation. Trying to think of other things right now. It looks like it's just Force of Negation as their counter spell. I'm going to go ahead and attempt a Blood Moon as our option here. Bolt is more frequent in their list here. And they do have that Force of Negation. This may encourage them to play through to non-basics with their Flooded Strand, which means maybe I do a Chalice on 1 to save Magus from Bolt Path. Basic island for our opponent. They can go search for an island, and at this point, we haven't really shut them off any of their colors, which is really good for them. Huge underdog here. We'll see what we can scrape by here. A couple of Seasoned Pyromancers would be excellent to draw. Just got to go with the flow here. Basic Plains. And Teferi. Teferi's excellent, can stop the Chalice as well, so at this point, not really too sure what we could get here. Luckily, I have the option of a Chalice and a Magus here. It's nice, but it's really not doing anything. They were already using this for red anyway. Bounce, Chalice, shoot this is probably a line that they could follow up with. We'll see though, we'll see. Worth a shot here. Opponent goes up with the Teferi. Suppose that's a good sign for us. We could interact with this Teferi shortly. Probably looking for a Chandra, looking for a Karn, something, some big haymaker. Wouldn't mind a Seasoned Pyromancer either. Extra Blood Moon effect. Let's go ahead and attempt to play this down. If this resolves, I get to attack with the Magus. They're not playing Snapcaster, I don't believe. They are playing Shark, but no Snapcaster, so we're clear to attack. While we're doing this, I am going to talk briefly about open deck lists. So they're interesting. They can obviously have some good advantages. My opponent uses a Helix here. For different decks, I think if I knew that it was going to be open decks, I would have actually swapped out. Red Prison, though it has different lock pieces where we can benefit from, I think having 7 moons is a little bit aggressive in a series where I'm trying to use the Blood Moon advantage of our Red Prison list to get an advantage occasionally and make people stumble. Being that that's not as much of a surprise, that game 1 hedge to have Blood Moon hit more often just doesn't make a lot of sense here. So if I had, I guess, read into it a little bit more, I think I would have changed this very briefly. That being said, we're with the list and we're going to play it how it is. Just some observations there about how, say, Blood Moon is impacting us. I'm going to go ahead and fire off this Anger here. And Shark as a 1/1 is not really that big of a problem, but just killing it so we don't take any damage, giving us the most time here on the match. Active Teferi here. At least we have this Chalice. Opponent's playing Helixes, so they got around our Magus, but at least we still retain a Blood Moon effect. Blood Moon hops up, and Scalding Tarn is going to fetch an island here. Really in a bad spot here on turn 6 against our opponent. We'll see if they play another Jace or something else. Opponent's got 7 cards. Even though they exiled with Force of Negation, being able to use Teferi twice and the Shark replacing itself has benefited them quite nicely. Go ahead and try to jam out a Blood Moon. The opponent doesn't really seem to care about this. We'll just pass the turn. Now our 1-drops are stopping things like Spell Snare, Path, Lightning Bolt. I don't see any ops here. They're running just the Sharks. Up to 8 cards here. Only 4 lands. We have 7 lands. We're doing better than my opponent, and my opponent did not path us. Down to 18 with this Shark. And follows this up with another Teferi. It's looking like it. And a Teferi. They might bounce Blood Moon just to make me replay it here. They have 8 cards, so they're going to end up going to discard unless they find a land. And if they don't find a land here, this is really bad. They'll have 7 spells. Probably just drop something that's a Chalice on 1. Mystic Sanctuary here. Probably pick up a Shark or this Force. Does so. We can now draw with another Shark Typhoon if they've got one. We'll lead with Blood Moon here, and then we'll follow it up with a Simian Spirit Guide. All on you, opponent. We're keeping them off Cryptic. I guess that's a small win. We need to take the small wins where they happen. Teferi going up to 2. This does get to kill that. Once again, though, they are running Helixes, and they might have an option for the Simian Spirit Guide. Looks like they do. 2 damage removed from our board here with the Helix. My opponent's just going up with Teferi, and they're going to attack with Shark here, putting us to 22. 18 to 22. This is a decent card, except that they are able to hard cast Force of Negation. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Karn. I think at this point, I want to go ahead and just pass and see if I can find 2 spells to run. If I can run 2 spells into some of this counter magic, I'll feel better. This clearly doesn't stop a lot of things from happening. Example being just now Cryptic Command, since my opponent's played the island. Force of Negation more than likely in hand. So on and so forth. Now in a normal Magic game, I would tell you at this point you could probably concede and conceal the Karn, but we're at a point where we might as well play it out a little bit further here, as we don't have that luxury of hiding information. We'll play Karn the Great Creator here. This should expectedly hit some sort of counter. It does. Force. We're going to just play a Bone Crusher Giant here. This could attack Teferi. They may not even care at this point. So there's our 2 spells. It's probably about as good as it's going to get. Could have done a Stomp here, but Stomp opens it up to a future Force of Negation that they might have had because they were tapped out. Alright, we just Helix this away, which is decent, I suppose. Might as well do that. They really could do that at instant speed. Just attack. Shark is a flying creature, so it would evade the Bone Crusher Giant. I'll go ahead and put Chalice on 2 here. Once again, we're dwindling here. We're getting attacked. It's a 6-turn clock here, and Teferi can bounce anything that it wants to. I think with a counter here, I can go ahead and really concede the game. We'll take one more draw just to see if they play anything interesting, but otherwise I'm going to probably concede. Save a bit of time. We'll take our draw, and then if it's nothing, we'll concede here. Down to 10. Up with Teferi. And end step. Blood Moon, we already have one of those. It's not going to do anything extra. Let's concede here. Not really drawing anything of value. So let's get things changed up here. Let's get aggressive. Rabble Masters in, Boils in. We can pretty much cut one bridge. We can cut almost all the Angers. I think I'll just cut an extra bridge here. So Rabble Master to be faster and Boil to interact with our opponent's lands in a meaningful way after they Cleansing Wildfire themselves. We'll still run 7 Moons here because it is our game plan and we want to stick to that game plan. Sideboard wise, I don't want to bring the Pithy Needle in because I'll be fetching it with a Karn. Damping Sphere is a bit of an interesting one because sometimes my opponent tries to play multiple spells, but we also have to be aware of our multiple spells as well. So this one, not hindering my opponent too much, we're not going to worry about that. Otherwise, I don't think I have too much here. I wouldn't mind a Battered Skull, but we can fetch that off Karn. We could bring that main deck in for a bridge, but I think a 1-of bridge is nice, just to keep my opponent a little bit honest with maybe a big shark. Not what I want, but 1-of shouldn't hurt us too bad. 2 Boils, 3 Rabble Masters. Let's submit. Let's play some Magic. Now a fast Blood Moon, especially something like a Magus with a follow-up Chalice on 1, could be enough to stop my opponent for a couple turns. What I would do as my opponent is I would keep a fetch land, a second land, and a Cleansing Wildfire. Keeping those would pretty much guarantee that they're pretty safe, especially if they can have also a Bolt there. Then they don't really care too much about a Blood Moon, they don't care about a Magus either, and they can probably just control the board from there. We'll see what they keep though. We'll get into match 3, game 2 here against Jeskai Wildfire when my opponent submits their sideboard. Here we go. Game 2. All right, would I like to play first? Yes, absolutely. All right, we have the Chalice on 1 that we talked about. We also have Blood Moon or Magus, and these are accelerated on turn 2. No turn 1 play, but the turn 2 seems good. We'll go ahead and keep. We'll see what their opening land is. It's probably, in my opinion, going to be some sort of fetch. I'd love to be able to put the Chalice on 1 first and then Magus to get under a Force. I'm probably not going to get that luxury though. We'll probably have to ramp out, say, Blood Moon or Magus. My opponent's sporting some Celestial Purges in their sideboard, so we'll just have to deal with that as we go here. Hopefully that's not what we run into too much of. All right, slight game change plan. This can just go get a island, so Blood Moon's not as important. Let's go ahead and Chalice on 1 to stop things like Bolt happening to both Magus and Rabble Master. And then we'll see about maybe landing one of these on turn 3. We're going to play on curve here. We could accelerate a Chandra here on turn 3 if we top deck a land and feel that is necessary. Okay. Let's double check one thing. My opponent has 3 Aether Gusts. They have 3 Tails Ends that they've brought in probably as well. 1 Celestial Purge. So the question is, how do we get through just the onslaught of the counters that really attack red decks, along with some of the nuances of these cards that just can pick these off when they land on the battlefield? Obviously, my opponent's going to be required to fetch here if I play Magus or Blood Moon. And Chandra right now would be a little bit better, just because, well, she'd be better because she's a threat that would need a Purge or an Aether Gust. I think with the Chalice out on 1 here and what my opponent's got sporting in terms of their mana base, I kind of want to try Magus or Blood Moon. And I'm leaning towards Magus to avoid Force, but I also like Blood Moon because they might pitch the Force, giving me an option for Chandra. Let's go ahead and Blood Moon here. Maybe they have a Celestial Purge. They try to play a Teferi, and then I can follow up with Chandra. No surprise here to see a few fetches here. I'm expecting a pair of basics, possibly. We might see a Shock land here because they feel like, hey, I've got this covered. Blue and white, you can see that Magus and Blood Moon not very important. This lands, this is going to get purged, more than likely. Ooh, all right. Opponent does not have Force, apparently, and did not fire off a Purge. This is very interesting. In that case, let's go ahead and try to slam Chandra, and if it lands, I'm going to play either Magus or Rabblemaster off of the Simian Spirit Guide and the mana uptick. They may not even care as much about this. I'm still surprised here. All right, well, I guess let's go ahead and let's get aggressive here with the Rabblemaster. Maybe they have a Helix. I'm a little surprised not to see counters on either of these cards, especially now at this point, the Chandra. So Rabblemaster, we have a main step stop here, it looks like, from my opponent. This resolves into beginning combat. We create a token, we swing for 1. What did you keep, opponent? No block, no shark. 7 cards, all their mana colors. Helix is Chandra here. All right. I'm a little baffled by what they might have here. They should hit this one more time if they have another Helix before we get our turn. They do a Snapcaster, so we're going to do Snapcaster Helix. I thought they said they didn't have Snapcasters. Oh, no, they have 4 Snapcasters. This is why I don't even care about deck lists sometimes. All right, so Chandra's dead. We hit an Abrade plus Magus here, which is nice. Let's go ahead and attempt to Abrade away the Snapcaster. This allows us to attack for the max amount of damage here, and in we go. Pass the turn, 6 damage, 17 to 20. It's as good as it's gonna get here. All right, 3 red, Anger the Gods. Pretty good for our opponent. Cleans up the board here pretty nicely. Let's go ahead and just lead with another Magus and pass turn. We are whittling through some of their interaction here. How much of it we're gonna get through, I don't know though. All right, we have 2 Blood Moon effects here, looking okay. Opponent's not playing anything, hoping they have counter spells. We'll attack for 2. I'm okay with trading with a Snapcaster, and I'm even okay with trading with a Shark at this point. Land drop, no follow-up. I guess we'll keep attacking here. We're not winning by just staying back and letting my opponent just draw out here. So let's go ahead and get aggressive. Snapcasters and Sharks obviously kill Magus. 2 Blood Moon effects feels pretty safe here. Maybe they have... what could they have? I don't know. I could see them playing Teferi, Bounce, and bolting this if they have 1-drops. Maybe they have more 1-drops than we think in their hand. All right, my opponent picked up a spell of sorts here. Hesitant to attack here now. They didn't play anything. Means they picked up something, and at this point, I'm a little bit afraid of what it could be. Snapcaster Anger could have got me anyway. I suppose I just go for it and hope it's not Shark here. Okay. Let's not be afraid. All the way, right? All the way. Flagstones of Chork here. Played here. That just does nothing because of Blood Moon. All right, well, Karn's a good way to test if there is some sort of counter over there. Let's do that. Let's make sure we put 4 into it. Karn, the Great Creator. We'll go get a liquid metal coating if this sits. They could Helix me. I could get a Walking Ballista. That'd be interesting. Or Batter Skull. What if they have Helix? Let's get a Walking Ballista. Let's just play this down. This gets around Force, gets around a few other things, and now they have a Karn to deal with and a Walking Ballista to deal with. We'll attack for 2 here. This saves us from a Snapcaster. I really wonder what they kept here. I'm feeling more confident than I should, probably. So we have 6, 7, 8. Not quite lethal. All right, we Aether Gust a Blood Moon. I'm going to bottom this because I have 2 Ramunot Ruins now. We still have another Magus to deal with. Helix is problematic because it gains them some life. But then the Helix is not hitting the Karn, which means I can go down tick and go get like Batter Skull next or something. Okay, 1 Aether Gust, I bottom that. We'll take our other draws here. Basically saying I'm good, and you can have your mana if you'd like it. What are we gonna do? Snapcaster plus Aether Gust here, bounce this, have 2 mana afterwards. There's a Teferi. Bouncing Chalice, bolting this, bolting here. Bounce Magus, now have enough mana to do something with it. Chalice is bounced here, all right. Chalice on 1 doing a lot more, apparently, deciding not to bounce Magus of the Moon. Opponent's got red mana, bolts Karn. We have another bolt here. Maybe we had a bunch of bolts here. It looks like we have another bolt. Bolts Magus here as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. I'd love to just put all this into the Walking Ballista here. Let's go combat, attack them, and try to pump Walking Ballista here. I mean, this seems pretty good here. I'm just going to sit here. We're at 6. Helixes will mess us up a little bit here. I'm not worried about a Teferi right now. I want to use this to its max potential. All right, so we're gonna just remove these. I'm gonna go all upstairs here and just hope they don't have a Helix. So that puts them to a 3 damage left, which means Ramunot twice over is lethal. Probably could have put a Chalice out to prevent that, if that was their top deck. Two, 3, 4. I don't think I need to put a Chandra into play. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try to put a Chalice on 1 here. I can still activate a Ramunot Ruins. And they know about this Blood Moon. It's just sitting in our head. Or our hand decaying slowly. All right, did you find the Helix you need now? Or are we gonna get here? I wish I could do another one at instant speed here. We only have 1 mountain, so extra Ramunot Ruins is potentially lethal here. They would need to probably consider doing it now because they only have 1 mountain. I could sit on this for a little bit. There's a Rabble Master. 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. The only thing killing me right now is a Helix. Is this worth it to fire off the Raminaut now and check if they have Helix? If they do... If they have the Helix here, they go up to 4, then back down to 2. That does make Chandra lethal the following turn. Let's do this on their turn. We'll do it right here. This will at least force 2 mana to be spent. Well, it's blue and red that they're tapping so far. Still blue. Blue-white. Shark trying to find a Helix here. This is forcing them to use a lot more mana, and then Rabblemaster can kind of get underneath a Force of Negation if they're tapped out here. They'll have 2 more mana and we'll be looking to probably have an Aether Gust. We end up winning there, thankfully. They didn't have it. Whew. I'll take it. I'm surprised. All right, we'll take the wins where we can get them. Still an underdog here. I think I'm going to go ahead and still play what we've got here. No changes. We'll just submit and see how quickly my opponent submits as well. They kept a bolt-heavy hand. A bolt-heavy hand. Keep that in mind for this final game. Really happy to take one off the Jeskai list. Still think I'm an underdog. No lands. That's an easy mulligan here. You need lands to play Magic. All right. So the question being, do I go for turn 1 Rabble into turn 2 Rabble and hope they don't have the bolts? Let's go ahead and keep. I think we go for it. I see no other answer than to go for the hastiest of attacks here. We'll check if they've got those bolts. We will check. Desperate Ritual here. Maybe they'll let this slide, not Spell Snare it into a Rabblemaster combat here. We'll see if they have those bolts. They need to stop on main phase so we don't generate a token here. Rabblemaster coming in here hot. In with the token. Uh-oh. We'll see if they have the Helix. We'll see if they have the bolts. Nothing so far. Extra Rabblemaster showing up shortly. Scalding Tarn to find a Triome, perhaps? And does so. Alright, all options available to them. Rabblemaster. Send it. Send it. We'll play Raminaut Ruins here. We're going to go ahead and slap down the next Rabblemaster. This is not a Helix, so that's good. It could be an Aether Gust. Could be a Snapcaster. Double yield here with Rabblemaster, making a couple goblins here and smashing for face. They are dead next turn if they have no interaction. Looks like we got something. Snapcaster to block here. They're going to take 3. Looking pretty good for this Rabblemaster, though. All right. Go ahead, opponent. Teferi bouncing this is just a tempo play. They could have an Anger. They showed us that. Purges. Okay. We get to attack for 3, and I get to land a Magus here, which is pretty nice. They'll want to get rid of this at some point. What's nice about the Magus is it keeps them off of white. Now, they could have another bolt, but then they're going to be bolting Magus instead. I'm not sure I attack with the Magus in fear of a new Snapcaster. Difficult to say, though, because we have the Raminaut plus Scavenger Grounds. Extra Mystic Sanctuary for our opponent. Double blue, so if they do bolt off of, say, Mystic Sanctuary, they don't have Helix mana still, which is really good for us. Cleansing Wildfires themselves, drawing a card and getting white mana. So this is good for us because we get to attack for 5 here, putting them to 7. I'd love to see a Bone Crusher Giant. I'll take a Seasoned Pyromancer though. That seems fine too. Land plus Bone Crusher Giant would be great. No such thing, but a Chandra is pretty nice here. In for 5, putting them to 7. Good board state here. They currently do not have Anger mana, which is nice. We do have Lethal. They do have Helix now, but we have Seasoned Pyromancer, which is a difficult card for them to deal with because we can bring it back. Would prefer to see a Helix here, if anything, and not an Anger of the Gods. Was the double Rabblemaster too fast? What do we have, opponent? Paying costs. We have a Teferi. That is not going to do it. Needs to bounce a creature. Bounces Magus as the choice here. Plays a Flooded Strand. That gets a path at most for 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 if I hit a land. I don't even think I care about Teferi once again. I'm just going to hit for the 7, maybe Ramunot, or try to play Chandra and uptick here. Going from underdog, looking pretty good here with our aggressive play. They fetch and try to shock to bolt this. That's just not going to work very well. And they don't want to path it necessarily. It gives me the extra land. Let's go ahead and go to combat without showing the mountain. See if they allow me to hit them. And I can always activate using Scavenger Grounds here as the sacrifice for the desert. Opponent lets us go to 2. That's game. Sacrificing Scavenger Grounds. 2 damage upstairs. Non-counterable. Unless you have some 1 mana way to gain life. That is GG's. There we go. Taking down the Jeskai Wildfire list with the 7 moons. Even after our dialogue about 7 moons and maybe being a little bit unfavored here due to things that get them out of the Blood Moon, we get there. That's match 3. Match 4 will be next. We'll see how we're doing. 2-1 overall in the ManaTraders series. Match 4 coming up right after this. All right, we have round 4 coming up here in the ManaTraders series. We're doing pretty well. We're against AT Jurwaz, and AT Jurwaz is playing what appears to be a money pile list. Now, this is why we're actually playing 7 moons instead of less than that, and we do note that they are playing 3 Force of Negations main. Some of the ways they can interact with us is a Fatal Push and I believe, Assassin or Abrupt Decay, one of the green-black cards. Let's double check there. It's an Assassin's Trophy. Archmage Charms are in this. Obviously, a lot of the other things that get us. There is only a singleton Aether Gust in the sideboard, which is super nice to see as a potential way to get rid of some of our stuff, so they're not as far in against us. They also appear to not have Celestial Purges, so we have a shot here. Definitely a difficult matchup, but I think with our Blood Moon package, we've got a good shot at this. Obviously, they'll know the Blood Moon package is coming here. Let's go ahead, and it looks like we'll go ahead and just create this. And we got ATG. This should be good. We'll go ahead and create. Should be good to go. We'll double check that our opponent finds us. And we'll hopefully get match 4 underway here. And we found our opponent. They found us as well. All right, looks good here. We do get the draw here, so we lost the dice roll. Not too bad. I believe I actually played this person in the qualifying rounds. I don't recall how the match went. We ended up only dropping 2 from qualifications. Opponent's playing a 61 card deck. Interesting to see that. And I wonder if that can be confirmed here with what we've got going on here. Let's add up here. There to here, and that is confirmed. It is 61 cards. All right. Well, we're on the draw. I can get a pretty fast Karn or Chandra down. Ignoring Chalice is not a bad idea necessarily. Opponent mulligans to 6 here. Pretty tempting to go ahead and keep this and just not worry about Chalice. Thoughtseize is a thing my opponent could do to us. Let's go ahead and keep though. I don't think I want to lean on just the opportunity of them getting a Thoughtseize down. Now I could take the Chalice, but I like the idea of 2 options here. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of the Chalice and just play from here. I've got a turn 1 Blood Moon if I end up top decking it. If they do Thoughtseize me, they're probably taking Karn or Chandra and not the Simian Spirit Guide. Let's go ahead and play our match. Let's play some Magic. Misty Rainforest is a good start for them. Can fetch some basics that they'll more than likely need. Starts here with fetching. And we might see a non-basic. We do, Watery Grave. So we are going to get Thoughtseized immediately here. And that's one of 3 Thoughtseizes, I believe, in their list. So we're good to go. 2 more left, and they've got to take probably Karn or Chandra here. Let's rip that Magus or that Blood Moon. Seven of them in the list. High probability hit. Difficult take, difficult take. I can't cast these. If they feel like they can eventually get these out or be able to counter them, they could take the Simian Spirit Guide. Tough choice. If there is a leading card to lead off with, it will be Karn. They do take Karn, all right. Blood Moon? No Blood Moon. They don't know about Scavenger Grounds. We'll set that to the side. It's a good card here because it can take care of Uro, giving us a little bit more time in this game. Oops. All right, so we got something here on probably 2. I'm going to go ahead and go for the Chandra. I don't need them going to 3 and having Force. I'd rather use something right here. We've got a Bone Crusher following this up the following turn with a Scavenger Grounds to protect the graveyards. Fetching and Shocking, putting them to 12. If it's an Aether Gust, I'll probably put it on top. Mana Leak. Nice. All right. 3 cards remaining here with a Bone Crusher Giant showing up next. Probably more inclined to just play the Bone Crusher Giant rather than trying to do Stomp plus Bone Crusher. Field of Dead here. I'm going to hide that I have Scavenger Grounds for the time being, and I'm just going to play a Bone Crusher Giant. We'll see if they have one more counter. If not, it's a 3-turn clock. Hoping this resolves. And it does. All right. Very cool, very cool. All right, basic island. We've got plenty of mana here. Top of the library is another mountain. No fetches, so we don't have to put Scavenger Grounds in before combat. Let's attack for 4 and pass turn after playing Scavenger Grounds. Scavenger Grounds plus Ramming Out Ruins would also mean a 2-turn clock here, pretty easily, even through removal. Go ahead, opponent. Looking pretty good here. Obviously afraid of Uro, but not as afraid as I probably would be if it was coming down a little bit earlier in the game. Mystic Sanctuary here. I actually don't care if they have Mana Leak or Thoughtseize, so I'll allow this to resolve if they end up picking up a card. Mana Leak's their choice here. That's totally fine. They choose not to put it into hand. Pretty much no surprise there. Let's go ahead and go to combat once again here, attacking for 4. See if they have anything to jump in front of this. The answer is no. I'm going to play the land and pass. We've got lethal on the board here. A couple of Ramionauts are lethal. Chandra's now lethal. Another Bone Crusher Giant is lethal. And that's assuming they can remove this Bone Crusher Giant. We end up taking the game number 1 here from our opponent. That's a good start for us, definitely against the Uro matchup. Now, we're going to do something very similar as we did with the Jeskai player. We're going to bring in Boils and the Rabble Masters. Come here. Sideboard-wise, we can kind of leave everything there. We don't mind grabbing a Tormod's Crypt with Karn the Great Creator. We don't mind getting, say, Torp Orb or Bridge as well. Now, my opponent is definitely going to attempt to prevent us from playing Blood Moons, but also play creatures out. We have 5 cards I need to switch out. It's going to be 3 Angers, because Anger doesn't kill a lot, and if they have a Field of the Dead, we're probably dying anyway. Definitely a bridge, and I'm thinking one more bridge. Alternatively, I could probably do one chalice here, as that gives me a chalice sideboard, but also leaves me a few in case I want to put it on 2 for, say, Assassin's Trophy. Now, my opponent is playing Archmage Charm, Cryptic Commands, Aether Gusts. We have things like Ceremonious Rejection out of the sideboard. We have another Aether Gust. We have Engineered Explosives. We don't have anything that's terrifying me too much. It's not quite a money pile because it looks like it's more Sultai. A little hard to say on the deck list when they present them. But I think we're good here. Liking what we've got. Let's be aggressive. Let's get those turn 1, turn 2 Blood Moons. We're on the draw again. All right. No acceleration. My opponent's kept 7. I don't particularly like having 4 or 3/4 drops here. Bone Crusher Giant's just really a creature in this matchup. So we have a fairly dead hand here. Let's go ahead and mulligan this. This hand is worlds better. We're going to keep. We're going to go ahead and I think I could get rid of the Chalice. I think I'll get rid of the Chalice. I'm not so afraid of a Ceremonious Rejection. I can always get a Chalice here. We have the Blood Moon on turn 2 here, and we also have Rabblemaster to be aggressive. Not to mention that I have a Scavenger Grounds. End up picking up an extra card, not the thing we wanted, but that's all right. Okay, so I think it's going to have to be a quick Blood Moon here and just hope that they have no interaction for it. Little island, little Triome here. We hit our land, which is good. 2 mana. And I'm going to go for the Blood Moon here. I think the Rabblemaster can come down next. This will be countered, I'm presuming. Mana Leak. We're going to get to these Karns eventually. I like having the Scavenger Grounds. It's really good to have for the graveyard over here. This has got to be a Mana Leak, right? Reconsidering this, interesting. Maybe it's just Aether Gust and they want to put the Aether, just wait for this to land here. If it's Aether Gust, I may put it on top. There's a Mana Leak. All right. All good. My opponent hasn't taken too much damage. Good for them. The fetching and the shocking in the last game really hurt them quite a bit. Misty Rainforest played. Basic Forest. Blood Moon's starting to look worse and worse. Looks like an Uro here. If it's a fetch land, I'll be cautious here about playing Rabblemaster. We have 1, 2, 3. This would be 4. We do hit a Raminot Ruins as well. If they have a Fatal Push, Goblin Rabblemaster dies, and then we can't get rid of the Uro. One, two, three, 4. 1 drops, my opponent could have a Ceremonious Rejection, and they also have those Fatal Pushes. They may not have as many Fatal Pushes. They might have taken one of those out. Let's go ahead and be aggressive here with the Rabblemaster. If it's a Fatal Push, they're getting the Uro, and if they're getting the Uro anyway, it's probably just going to be a problem for the rest of the game anyway. Scavenger Grounds, stopping this. I think just having this opportunity to maybe land this gives us a shot here. They do fetch and they do not, thankfully, Fatal Push. So we have 4 cards here, plus the Uro. They need a 5th card. A fetch land will do it. A cantrip of sorts would do it as well. If we can dodge it for a turn, Scavenger Grounds comes down and prevents this, and we have an active Rabblemaster. Field of the Ruin doesn't quite do it. I'm glad I played Scavenger Grounds second. Aether Gust this. We'll say, okay, I'm going to put this on top. I'm going to put this on top because we're going to pop the Scavenger Grounds here. I'm a little surprised they didn't field. They did 2 here and then left field as an option. Let's put our Scavenger Grounds down. Attack for 1 and pass turn after popping Scavenger Grounds. And we're going to pop this using Raminot Ruins here instead, so I have the future Scavenger Grounds. That'll force the field to be something that they use at some point. Cool. All right. Nice to have a Rabble Master after this and not have an Uro. 4 cards for our opponent. Definitely some threats they can still play. They can counter things as well, but we're looking pretty decent. In the event that a Karn does land, it makes me want to go get a Tormod Script as my first card, but I'll probably be tempted for that Liquid Metal Coating. Mystic Sanctuary, nothing to show for it. Alright, I will attempt Rabble Master here. If it's a counter, it's a counter. Gotta play through him at some point. I'd almost prefer a Karn to show up at some point here. Mana Leak, completely fine here. 2 cards to beat, attacking for 1. My opponent continues to use field instead of utilizing field to get rid of the Scavenger Grounds. I think this is a slight mistake by them. Prefer a land, but we don't hit that. Let's attack for 1 here. And kind of tempted to go ahead and go for this Karn. Ceremonious Rejection hits this if they have it, which would have been better to play the Chalice first. Kind of okay with just trying to lead the Karn out there. We got a second one. If I miss a land, I'm going to be putting Chalice on 1. We're beating down with a little Goblin. We hit a pretty fun land. Let me just say that. It's a fun land. Alright, in for 1 with our Goblin. We'll go ahead and play a new Chalice down on 1. We have 4... we have 4 islands currently. Chalice on 1. Go ahead, opponent. Looking for that 4th land now. We got a set of 4 drops here. See if this interests them to prevent Chalice coming down. Chalice on 1 does protect us from things like Thoughtseize and Fatal Push, although those are the least of our worries at this point in the game. Alright. We hit a Desperate Ritual here, a bit interesting. Wondering if I hold here. Holding here and potentially trying to boil is an interesting proposition. Let's go ahead and attempt to do that. Should get a counter, and then I could potentially Karn right after, top decking another land. I'm almost hoping they get like an Uro. Alright, we'll wait. We do hit our land. We'll attack for 1, pass turn. I can now safely boil our Karn. We'll just pass. Beating down with the Goblin. Nothing to see here. Appreciating this fetch quite a bit. Hope it gets an island. Basic swamp. Smart move. Alright. Let's make some action here. Boil. My opponent apparently F6'd, and that might be the game. Not sure they should have been F6 there. Not really good for them. We'll attempt Karn here. Could have put it on with a Desperate Ritual, just playing Karn. This is a slight punt by myself as well. They do have the Force. Getting rid of a Mana Leak. Alright. No harm, no foul. Not using the Desperate Ritual here. We'll probably see the Scavenger Grounds popped here with the field. Maybe a little aggressive to go for the Karn there, having a Scavenger Grounds that they can hit. And I maybe should have held the Gemstone. Got excited when our boil went off. Slight misstep here. Could cost us. Gets their island. Plays a Field of the Dead here. We have 3 mana. Looking for anything that would be actionable. Blood Moon's kind of an interesting card here. We'll attack for 1. The Blood Moon's interesting because it's going to stop a lot of 2 drops. 2 pips, sorry. Future Field of the Ruins also stopped here. If they have a Mana Leak, I can pay through the Desperate Ritual. Our Singleton Goblin taking things down slowly. Needing another way to get through this. 3 mana Uro, it appears. Alright, Uro gains 3, draws a card. Right now it's just a draw engine for them. Plays a new island. Things are looking up for our opponent. They should have 1 less island if we were playing a little bit tighter here. Mystic Sanctuary as well. 2 cards remaining. They need another forest. I get a threat? That'll work. We're going to go for it here, and I'm going to play correctly by using the Desperate Ritual so that I have at least a liquid metal coating. They don't counter this. I think I'm going to go ahead and get that liquid metal coating. Where is it? A little bit sketchy if they're able to kill our Karn here, but I feel pretty safe. We're going to shut off the green source first. They do have Assassin's Trophy, so we'll see if that becomes relevant here. It looks like it will. They do Assassin's Trophy or Blood Moon. Not Karn and not liquid metal coating. Oh, no, sorry, it was Abrupt Decay, not Assassin's Trophy. So we have field tokens showing up now. I can kill the field, and I have a Goblin as a blocker. We have another green source as well for the Uro. We have one card to beat. It's tough to say what we want to try to beat here. Let's see here. Blood Moon's super nice. 1, 2, 3. The Karn. Let's go ahead and get rid of the forest here as our first action. Goodbye, forest. We're gonna hold the goblin back here, and I get to Blood Moon. Opponent is fetching with Misty Rainforest here. Gonna go get another forest, I presume. If it's a non-basic, it's looking really good for our Blood Moon. They could also use the moment to get a Mystic Sanctuary to pick up, say, like Abrupt Decay or something. Get another forest here. We kill this off. We'll play Blood Moon and pass turn. 2 zombies to beat. Definitely blocking with our Goblin. Get rid of our stop on the upkeep. Jace the Mind Sculptor bouncing Goblin here and getting rid of the Karn here with the 2 zombies. It's pretty good for them. Nice. We'll take a stomp, maybe? All right, Karn's dead. Let's see what we can top deck here. It's a good card. We will definitely attempt to stomp Jace here. Should be clear because they don't have any blue mana open. It's clear as Jace, and we get to replay the Bone Crusher Giant. Looking okay. Bone Crusher Giant luckily can block zombies. It can't quite get through a pair of them, though. All right, looking for Chandra, new Karn, all kinds of things. Polluted Delta played for our opponent. Lucky they don't have the extra forest right now. No attack, I presume, in our turn. Top deck is a land, not what we want. We'll pass turn. I don't see a reason to attack with Bone Crusher just yet. Opponent's at 11. Top of the library. It's a Chalice. 1, 2, 3. I could put a Chalice on 3, which is stop future Uros. I think it's probably just got to be maybe on 2, actually. I'm not afraid of another Uro here as much as I am afraid of something more potent. And I know they have an Assassin's Trophy, so this stops Aether Gust, it stops Assassin's Trophy, Mana Leak. It stops a few things that could stop me from playing Magic. Looking for something else here. Magus is okay. We'll play Magus. Magus resolving makes me want to go ahead and attack with the Bone Crusher now, because the Bone Crusher trades with both zombies, and then I start attacking for 2. Obviously, the Bone Crusher is a nicer threat, but I have to take what I can get here. So we got 2 Blood Moon effects here. Just avoiding, hopefully, another Jace. This is an Hour of Promise, it looks like, so my opponent can get their extra green. We need something that deals with the graveyard now because of Uro. or I need a way to get rid of the forest here with, say, a Karn the Great Creator. Bridge won't be very good, but it will stop some things. I'm expecting island plus forest here. Top decking a boil right now would also be a really reasonable thing to do. Gets an island and something else. Was, I think, the breeding pool. Let's play a new Blood Moon here and attack for 2. Should be safe to attack for 2. Down to 9. My opponent does not have another forest here, apparently. We're in good shape. Attacking with our Magus several times in a row. Chalice on 3 might just have to be played here for things like Uro, Force of Negation, Archmage Charm. It does kind of shut down what else I'm going to do, but let's go for it. Means that we just need Planeswalkers to win this game. Opponent kind of has to do the same stuff. Need to avoid their 4-drops. Can I have a 4-drop, please? Attacking and passing turn. Down to 5. Now we both have a lot of dead draws. What a board state. Passing back. She's good. Let's attack for 2. This will definitely check to see if they have a Cryptic Command. Play Chandra. Resolves up for 2. Down to 1. My opponent has 1 life here. They've got to deal with a Magus plus a Chandra. They've got plenty of Blood Moons, and we've got Chalices for days. Does that mean we're taking down Sultai Uro? Difficult to say. Maybe we are. Yes. Our preemptive boil there definitely probably helped us a lot. And I don't know if it was a little bit of an F6 on their part, skipping through their end step. It's tough to say, though. They probably just didn't have any counters. That would be my guess, just because, well, you pass the turn if you don't have them. Sitting here with currently 2 threats here, Chandra, and who knows what we have on top of the library. Is this enough? We have not disconnected, thankfully. Not entirely sure what they could use to get out of here. We have a Chandra and a Magus. And the fact that they can only play 4-drops means they're probably playing like Cryptic Command, but that doesn't unlock any of their other mana. We could Abrupt Decay something, but what? Abrupt Decay a 3-drop or something that unlocks some Force mana or something else. Too many moons. And there we go. We get the match. Conceded. There we go. Not doing too bad. Round 4 complete. We'll see you in round 5 here of the Mana series. Alright, the next match in the ManaTraders series here. We're on round 5 here. Going to be playing against XF13. We'll just call him XF13. And so this player, based on open deck lists here, this series, is playing pretty similar to one of our earlier matches. A Rakdos Prowess Shadow list here, and definitely something we can take down. The big notable cards here is there's a K-Command main and there's a K-Command sideboard. There is a pair of Feed the Swarms as well. So pretty much we want to be looking for probably a Chalice on 1 and a Bridge would be probably enough to win this game. In game number 1, definitely don't mind having a second Bridge against this opponent as well. We're instructed to wait until about the 2 p.m. Eastern time, so we've got just maybe 20-30 seconds. We'll probably join here in about 15-20 seconds here against our opponent. Now, one thing that's interesting about this kind of shadow list, and I think we talk about this frequently, but just to talk about it a little bit here, is the Scourge is the worst card for us to see. It's a bit like Rabblemaster is to Red Prison, the Scourge is to this red-black list. Once it's on the battlefield, if you can't get rid of it in about 2-3 turns, you just end up losing because it grows so well. All that being said, let's go ahead and join our match here. Let's play some Magic against our opponent. We're looking pretty good here. Gonna start Maybe a few seconds early, shouldn't be a problem though. We can take a look at our opening hands here before we end up hitting submit for keep or mulligan. Opening hand here is the Chalice on 1, and we do have a Blood Moon effect. It's pretty hard to throw this one away, quite honestly. We can actually throw away just the Chandra here and keep our Abrade. Wish our opponent good luck, have fun. Opponent has mulligan to 6, and they might be looking for ways to deal with Blood Moon effects. Really tempted to go ahead and keep this just because of this effect plus the Chalice, and I can actually play a Seasoned Pyromancer and block quite a bit. We also have more Chandras than we do Karns, so it's actually okay to pitch the Chandra to the Gemstone. Keeping a Braid on the off chance my opponent plays something a little bit more hasty here. Let's go ahead and keep this. We'll go ahead and begin playing as the time is now presently 2 p.m. Eastern. Opponent mulligans to 5 here, looking for ways to either interact with us quickly and or not get Blood Mooned. Got a good luck from our opponent as well. We'll do Gemstone here, getting rid of Chandra, and we'll begin our game. I think if my opponent even played down a Swift Spear or a Bowmat, I probably Chalice first anyway. Bloodstay Mire is fetching and does not get the basic, so it's definitely looking at like a Chalice. Definitely so with the Bowmat here as well. So got this Chalice down on 1. We have a removal for the Bowmat. And hopefully, probably just try to slam a Blood Moon next turn to keep them off black. We'll see what happens here. Another Blood Crypt, good sign for us. Scourge I would probably go ahead and kill. All right, it's a Scourge. Like I said, I probably would kill this because it's going to be a 2/2. Another Scourge is kind of painful here. This is the opportunity I have to kill the Scourge. My opponent can play Dismembers as well. It's probably just more correct to kill the Scourge here, not die to just Scourge and Bowmat. Attacking one more time and Scourge is just completely out of range. This gives them an opportunity to play a new Scourge, which gives us an opportunity to draw a basic mountain as well. So we'll do this. Maybe this Chalice is really hindering them. Hopefully it is. As mentioned, I think I want to play Blood Moon, but I could play Magus first here as well. I think it doesn't matter at this point. Magus does block Bowmat, so let's go ahead and do Magus and pass turn. Pretty safe here because Chalice is on 1. If they do get a land here, it has to be a swamp to do K command. Magus also blocks Bowmat, which is nice. They may be cycling this for 4 new cards. Alright, we're looking decent here. I'd love to play extra Blood Moon before playing Seasoned Pyromancer. Definitely ahead in this matchup. And we do not go to combat. Looking good, looking good. Alright, definitely just a Blood Moon here and pass turn. We'll then worry about Seasoned Pyromancer on the follow-up. Maybe I can get one more land here and get 2 tokens out of Seasoned Pyromancer. This extra Blood Moon's probably close to locking this game up, although we just need a bridge. We won't attack here, our life total matters, so no need to attack through the Bowmat. I don't want them to get an extra card without penalty here. Opponent appears to have Dismember. They clear out our Magus. Thankfully, we've played our extra Blood Moon here. Bowmat's going to get in for an extra point here, and we're going to have 4 cards eventually to deal with. Land? New Magus. All right, well, we can play Seasoned Pyromancer here. I'm going to get rid of Magus and Desperate Ritual. This Blood Moon is very safe in game 1. Don't need an extra creature here. We do hit a land, which is pretty nice. We'll just pass turn. Now, I don't expect to fire off this Anger of the Gods. If anything, I'm going to start getting on the offensive against my opponent. But it is a nice catch-all in case my opponent puts a few more creatures into play after popping Bowmat. Need to avoid that basic swamp. Opponent does attack here. I think this is a super easy block with Seasoned Pyromancer. They're just going to cash this in. Alright, Death Shadow, Bowmat, Fatal Push, and the K command is gone now. This is a super important thing to see being in the graveyard. Couple bobbles here off of this as well. We're looking decent. Take a bridge, I'll take a Karn, I'll take a Chandra. That'll do. That'll do. Let's go ahead and attack here for all damage. Putting them to what appears to be 7. And play Karn. I'll probably just uptick on the bobble if they don't use the bobble. They do. Or I guess I just go get like Batterskull here. I don't care if they bolt this. Batterskull just helps us really nicely in case they do have some way to get out of this, as it gives us that life gain that we'll need, and we are able to cast it through the Simian Spirit Guide. I don't need a Walking Ballista. This game is pretty close to being wrapped up just by attacking. And the Karn's really pretty useless here for us, so we don't really need that Karn to stick around. Ends up winning a couple Simian Spirit Guides, Blood Moons showing up. That's game 1 against the Rakdos player. So, this matchup, I believe I brought in the Braid. I talked about Kozilek's turn not being very good against something like the Swift Spear, or sometimes they'll have Soulscar Mage as well. In this matchup, I believe I also talked about taking out a few of the Maguses to bring in things like Rabble Master is just an alternate way to win. I believe I tried 3 Rabble Masters and a Braid. I'm trying to remember what else I took out here. I'm almost inclined to think it was a Chandra, but maybe it was just 2 Rabble Masters and a Braid the last time. It's something close to some interaction like that. Bone Crusher Giant's nice just as a threat. We do still want to play at least some Blood Moons, but it's not the most death-defying thing. We pull out the Maguses because we're afraid they'll bolt, but Chalice is here in case that happens. We like having all of our bridges. We need to have at least 3 bridges in play to lock them out from creatures attacking us. Rabble Master's a nice fast clock in case they get a little behind us as well. I think we'll just submit this. This feels fine. I want to say I got that other Rabble Master in before, but I'm not feeling it against this opponent. Not with that extra K commands that was there. I believe it's the same amount after sideboard, but it just... My opponent's game plan is to do something more aligned to removing creatures and removing artifacts. All right, we have the turn 1 Blood Moon. Pretty easy keep here. If we don't hit the Blood Moon, we can always start attacking them or removing creatures. We also have a turn 2 Chandra if we end up top decking Chandra. We'll definitely keep this one, and we'll see if my opponent keeps theirs. They keep 7, we'll keep 7. Good luck. Blood Crypt, good to see here. Gearing this Blood Moon up. We'll see if they play a creature. They do. Blood Moon's coming down. Pretty good starting hand here. The turn 1 Blood Moons. Always nice to see. And it's the harder one to deal with typically. All right. Let's see some more creatures here. Last time we got kind of pummeled by a bunch of creatures in game 2, I think. There's a couple creatures. Anger the Gods looking better, albeit we don't get to fire it off immediately. Bobble trigger here. We do draw land. So I think I'm going to go passively with this Bone Crusher Giant. I'd love to be able to use the Bone Crusher Giant in some other meaningful way than just picking off a random Bomat. Love to see two more Swift Spear or Bomat kind of creatures here. We may not, but one can hope. See some creatures. Let's see some creatures. Just a few, please. Overcommit, please. I'm gonna go ahead and stomp the Swift Spear here and encourage them to use a bolt or something else. Encouraging this. Maybe I slow roll the Anger. Maybe they play an extra creature because they see, oh, I had just the removal. There's the bolt. So now they don't have 2 spells to pump this up. We'll see if they can maybe use something else. There's a double bolt. All right, they did have the double bolt, so I'm kind of glad to see this all happen here. Chalice of the Void. What a top deck. I think we can safely Anger here and then look to Chalice next turn. I don't want them to use the Bomat as a draw engine here. We were doing the Stomp so that we could avoid a double Lightning Bolt protecting the Swift Spear. So this all works out okay for us. Extra land for them. They get a Bomat to follow this up. I think this is a pretty easy Chalice on 1 next. Life total is going to be very, very narrow here. Play land. We're going to put the Chalice into play on 1. Seems safe. And then we'll look to play Seasoned Pyromancer or Bone Crusher Giant next. Gonna try to hold off this Bomat. Polluted Delta, 2 unknowns. At this point, people usually put Luris to hand. We'll see if my opponent does that. Down to 4. Okay, so a few things I could play around is Kroxa. This doesn't really get me anything extra here. I suppose if I were to draw a Simian Spirit Guide or a Ritual, I can then play Seasoned Pyromancer plus Bone Crusher. So let's go ahead and do that. We end up drawing exactly what we talk about here. Bone Crusher comes into play as well. Go ahead, opponent. So we have 6 damage here. We've got a Karn. A little bit afraid of something like the K command. We have this on lock, though, with the Chalice. Things are looking up for us. I think with Karn coming down here, we'll be in good shape. This is a pretty easy block. It'll be blocked with Seasoned Pyromancer. This is because if they do find a way to get rid of our Seasoned Pyromancer, we at least are fine there. This is probably going to be a Karn down tick, go get Walking, or not Walking, Batterskull once again. Batterskull coming into play a couple times here. My opponent plays a land and it's not a swamp. Bobble Trigger draws. They know we have a Ritual. Well, the Ritual helps me get Batterskull next turn, so we kind of have to just live for 2 turns here, and we're probably out of this. Let's go get that Batterskull. Let's safely attack for 4, and leaving ourselves a Seasoned Pyromancer back just to block in case. Looking good. We're looking favored here, and we'll see if they can find that swamp, and they do. So swamp is found. What does that mean for them? Swift Spear is countered through the Chalice. Nothing's changed there. Puts Luris to hand. I could shut down this. I can attack for 6. We have Luris and 2 unknowns. Alternatively, what can show up here? A Scourge can show up here. It's probably safer to go get Liquid Metal Coating and just attack for 4 again. We can save this gemstone now. We'll stop on my opponent's upkeep. I'm going to attack for 4 and pass turn. I'm going to shut down this swamp. We'll take care of it with the Karn and play Batterskull. I don't need them to have a second swamp here. Second swamp playing Luris is a problem. There we go. We get the concession there. We're basically going to just take out this extra swamp with the Karn here. We're going to end up drawing an Anger, which is probably not being played. Play the Batterskull, attack for potentially 6 using Karn to kill this, and we're probably fine from there. Chalice on 2 or 3 was coming soon. We're going to get there. There you have it. Match 5 complete. Winning against this Rakdos mid-range prowess Shadow List. We're pretty well suited for the meta right now that we've seen. We'll see you in round 6 here. Playing the Red Prison, Lucky 7 Moon in Modern. Red Prison here, going to get into round number 6, playing against Mad Max Ernest here. So taking a look at their list before we join here, we have a Uro and Omnath list. So we've hit the true money pile here now. We've avoided the problems with Jeskai control, and we have taken down a Sultai Uro. We're suited for this one up. What's interesting about what they have in their list is they have 2 force of negations, so that's something we need to be mindful of, but they also have, what is it, two factor fictions as well. And factor fiction is kind of an interesting card. We'd almost prefer to see this instead of a force of negation, albeit then that puts some onus on us to pick the correct sides of cards in order to not have them maybe get more basics and or cards that unlock from the lock that will hopefully be establishing. Not as many interactive spells. We've only got a bolt and a couple paths, 4 paths and a bolt, but there is Celestial Purges and Aether Gusts and Tails Ends in the sideboard. So sideboard games are going to be extremely difficult for us. With that, let's go ahead and join our match here. We're right around the time where we'll begin. And let's see who gets the play. Turn 1 Blood Moon is definitely going to be important in this matchup. We'll see if we get the play and see if we can get some of those going. We do miss the play here, but I do have a turn 1 Blood Moon, albeit it is on one of our weaker cards, being that it would be a Magus of the Moon here. So Magus of the Moon off of a Simian Spirit Guide Ritual here. It does get under a Force of Negation, which is super nice, and depending on what my opponent's opening land will be, definitely we could get lucky here. Let's go ahead and keep this opening hand. Although we don't have a 3rd land right now, we're in good position to find one and play Seasoned Pyromancer. A difficult card for this list to deal with. Gotta take our advantages here and take the turn 1s when we can get them. Let's see what we're playing against here. What's this opening land? Scalding Tarn, so this will go get their islands. They could have the one of bolts that they have main decked. They could also have a path here. We'll just see which one they do have. Avoiding Force of Negation here. Opponent fetches and finds basic islands. All right. So we're looking pretty good here. Don't mind myself throwing a Bone Crusher Giant upstairs. We'll do that on their turn. Triome. No bolt. Good for us so far. They do not play Snapcasters, so Magus is pretty clean here. Attack for 2 and pass the turn. 17-20. Okay. Got 3 mana here. No surprise. No surprise. End step, we'll go ahead and play a Bone Crusher Giant. If we pick up a land, I may be playing Bone Crusher Giant out of exile here. Instead of doing Seasoned Pyromancer and losing Anger and Chandra. This Anger is kind of useless and Chandra would be nice to play. It may be just Seasoned Pyromancer. Mana Leak Stomp here. That's fine. 1 less counter to deal with in the future. We do miss our land drop, so we're attacking for 2 and just passing the turn. Blood Moon may be a priority here now, depending on what our next few draws are. Opponent has found that Singleton Bolt in the list, and it bolts away our Magus of the Moon. Follow this up with an Uro. Blood Moon's becoming more important here. Opponent will draw and probably play a land. No land is played here. Top deck missing a land. One of the first times we've hit and missed our lands this entire series thus far. My opponent misses their land too, and we miss our land. Who needs lands this game? Sometimes that happens on Magic Online. Seems like we go back and forth, not doing a whole lot. A Wrenn and 6 is problematic here because now they can get their Scalding Tarn and work on this. Definitely want to get this Blood Moon down as soon as we can. We are at troubles with a Mana Leak, possibly from my opponent. All right, Blood Moon it is. We'll see if this resolves. Don't really want to play a Seasoned Pyromancer into this. We need to have a way to stop Uro if this does resolve. When it fetches basic island here and allows the Blood Moon to resolve. All right. Karn's becoming a more priority here. My opponent did not counter this. They do have 2 blue available and they'll have their 5th land here. Wrenn and 6 is troublesome but not game ending. So we'll see how that plays out. Let's see here. So I have the option of a Seasoned Pyromancer ditching Anger and Blood Moon, keeping myself Karn and Chandra. My opponent did not force this. They also did not Mana Leak it. Now my opponent could have picked up a force. It's tough to say what would be the correct line here. Could be a Chandra, it could be Seasoned Pyromancer. Something's telling me the Seasoned Pyromancer is probably just smarter here. Not worry about a new Blood Moon. Get underneath a Force Negation and force out some sort of other counter spell, if they have it. This resolves. Get rid of Anger, and I think I'm just going to get rid of this Blood Moon. We had a land. Desperate Ritual, Simian Spirit Guide, Karn, Chandra. Looking pretty good. This way we can avoid mana leaks. Factor Fiction. All right, here we go. So, Factor Fiction happens here. We can give them a mana leak, or I can give them like the snow-covered forest. I wonder if they have a way to get rid of this Blood Moon here. I think I have to give them like forest or give them everything. So, there you go. What do you want? They might not have that many forests. They decide to take everything. Will we regret this? Well, we'll find out soon enough. They have lots of cards in their hand. Oh, that's right. Ren and 6 can just pick up the forest. Well, they got everything. Well, we'll just beat everything. We'll just beat everything. It'll be good. Don't worry. We think we're in trouble. We're not. Might have overlooked Ren and 6 briefly there. It'll be fine. What are they gonna pitch here? Steam Vents, some other stuff here. Steam Vents, Cryptic Hour. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, and all of this. Let's go ahead and attack Ren and 6 here. We do need to get rid of this at some point. And here I'm gonna go ahead and play the mana leak down. Or sorry, the Chalice to prevent mana leak. They'll go ahead and mana leak this and we'll open ourselves up to Chandra and Karn here. Cool. No surprise there. A little surprised to see Hour of Promise pitched here with the snow-covered forest. I'd imagine they'd have a way to get Uro back. But it's not what they did. Probably one more uptick with Ren and 6 to take Steam Vents here in the yard. And does so. We'll see if we can get in one more time to kill this. Currently no white mana. White mana is a little bit harder for them to come by. 5 mana, they had another Hour of Promise. We know they have enough blue spells here, so that if they do have one of their forces, they're good. We have greens, blues, and whites here. We also have red for Omnath. All right, so for us, we have the option of Pithing Needle, Liquid Metal Coating, Ensnaring Bridge. We could get a Tormod's Crypt to take care of the graveyard. Basically, whatever we do play here, my opponent's going to get one of these down. Now, we could play Karn to get Pithing Needle for Teferi. I'm going to probably attempt to kill Ren and 6 here. If we do that line, got some stuff going for us. I wonder if I can just play this, play Liquid Metal Coating, and shut off the plains. Then I have to deal with all the white cards. The white cards are problematic. They're the ways they bounce things. Do they have... yeah. All right, let's go combat here. Let's go ahead and take care of a Ren and 6. Let's start there. I probably can beat Uro. That's what I'm thinking. So let's do 3, 4, Karn. And if they mana leak this, I can pay for the mana leak. Let's go get a Liquid Metal Coating. And see if this resolves. And we'll stop on my opponent's upkeep here and shut off the plains. Okay, only one Blood Moon, a little fragile here. We'll see what it results in, though. Like I said, I can beat an Uro here. They gain the life, they do all that good stuff here, but I can chump block the Uro. I can shut off and kill the planes here. I can play a Chandra out. Just keeping them off of all this extra mana is probably the most important thing. At least game 1. Keeping in mind we gave him a perfect Factor Fiction. Because we're a nice guy. We're a nice guy. Okay, definitely want to kill this planes here. Planes attempt to play Chandra and pass turn. It's probably the turn here. Opponent floats some white mana. They could have a path. In a way, I almost feel like Simian Spirit Guide should be played here. I'm going to go to second main before making my next action. Get a little more mana here. So now we can do Chandra and play Simian Spirit Guide, which is probably just an okay line here to have plenty of blockers. We'll pass here. We have a Chandra at 5. We can go down here with the Karn to go get a bridge. I may try to shut off some of the islands as well, depending on what my opponent does. We're doing okay here. Still a bit of an underdog. I'm not ready to call it that we've changed this to our favorite quite yet. Opponent goes to combat. It's an easy chump block with the Elemental here. Opponent goes after Karn. No surprises there. Karn's the scary one for them. Plays a Temple Garden. Chump. Love to see another blocker. I could go get one with Karn, the Great Creator, too. Opponent plays a new Uro. This is where killing another land wouldn't be a bad idea, especially a blue one. I can deal with green and red pretty easily. Put in this misty rainforest. Green. This is Omnath colors. Another Uro. My opponent likes Uro. Like I said, I thought we could beat Uro. We'll see. We'll see. It's going to be a close one. Opponent plays a Flooded Strand now. 5 cards remaining. And opponent moves to end step here. Chalice of the Void. Chalice of the Void here, we can put it all the way up to 4. I don't want to put it on 3 before getting a bridge down. If I want to go the route of bridge. I suppose a new Ren and 6 is problematic, and I don't have that much on 2 anymore in the list. So we could probably safely put it on 2. If we're putting it on 2, I don't even have to worry about a mana leak, so I could go up here with this Chandra and see what else I hit first. They've already used their 1 of Lightning Bolt. I'm wondering if this is the turn to get something like, just get the Tormod's Crypt to clear the graveyard. Or do I need to go after these lands? I probably can go safely after a forest here. If I go after 2 forests, then Ren and 6 isn't a problem. Let's go up with the Chandra here. And then look to put the 2, and then we'll decide what we do with Karn after that. We hit a mountain. Let's see if they're worried about a Chalice on 2. And if that's fine, I'm going to down tick instead here. And I'm going to go get the Tormod's Crypt. I think I lose to them recasting a whole bunch of these. Let's go ahead and get rid of their graveyard. And then at upkeep, we're going to stop them from using probably just more blue. We're almost there with Chandra. Shut down blue briefly. All right. Go ahead, opponent. What do you got? Being able to continuously shut down the blue at this point probably has a good chance of winning the game for us. Blue is the scariest card now that we have the Chalice on 2. Love to see a bridge. Wouldn't mind to see another Blood Moon effect. Goes to combat. Looks like we're going to attack with Uro here. I'm going to be chump blocking once again. Opponent's drawing and gaining life. All the good stuff there. They play Mystic Sanctuary. We chump block. Seasoned Pyromancer wouldn't be a bad draw either. Get some more action here. Opponent plays another Mystic Sanctuary. We hit a Chalice. Not a card I want to be seeing here. Let's go up with Chandra. See if we can find a creature. Extra blocker would be nice. Gemstone. Let's go ahead and take care of an island here and pass turn with the Chalice in hand. Going to be chump blocking once again. We're going to hopefully get to Emblem here. And if I get to Emblem, we have a good shot at this game. Albeit it's a long road still ahead. This has to happen, I think. Opponent attacks. If they attacked me, I'd probably just let it through. Goes after Karn. Has gone after all 3 at this point. Dancing between the walkers and us. They know I'm chump blocking here. They need a way to get rid of the Simian Spirit Guide. Knowing the bolt's already gone here, I feel fairly safe. Attacks Karn, draws. Chump block, pretty easy chump block here. I can also use the spells that I cast with the emblem here to get rid of this and not even worry about having to have to do anything with this. Another little predicament here. I'd love to keep the Chandra around. I think we still have to just emblem here. Emblem, maybe go get Bridge or something, or even Batterskull. I guess I could go get a Batterskull pretty safely here. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's get to that Batterskull. Gaining some life is never a bad idea. 5 damage and shoot Uro here. And we'll be shooting Uro one more time. We're going to set our upkeep stop once again. Living Weapon comes out. Chalice on 0 this time, because I can't really put it on anything else. Shoot Uro one more time, and we'll pass the turn. All right. Their turn, Liquid Metal Coating on Snow-Covered Island, and we get there. Taking down Omnath. Money pile here in game number 1. A good one for us to take down, as it's a hard one for us to win. Sweet. All right, Rabblemaster's in, obviously, and Boils. And then this is once again a few Angers out, and we'll probably take 2 Bridges out to keep them honest. This is definitely where we want all 7 moons. This Abrade is a bit hit or miss, but if my opponent blocks, say, Rabblemaster, and we're able to shoot down an Uro, I'd prefer that rather than attempting to hide behind a Bridge. Bridge is pretty fragile here due to just white mana being the problem mana color. My opponent's going to be bringing an Aether Gust and Celestial Purge, so fingers crossed we can get that turn 1 Blood Moon or Boils active, or a fast Rabblemaster. With this, no other changes I don't think. We're going to submit and see if we can lock them out. Killing that Plains was critical there. Very, very critical. Let's go. Looking pretty good. Pretty happy with our performance thus far. Hopefully continue that trend. By the way, perfect factor fiction for our opponent, and we still got there. Pretty good. Gave them all the white cards. Fixed our mistake. Thank you, Liquid Metal. Open deck list. I got an Ashiok in this list too. I like that. 4 colors is rough. A lot of one-ofs from the sideboard. 2 Purges, 1 Damping Sphere, 2 Ashioks, 3 Aether Gusts. That's the problem. Aether Gust is a rough card for us because we can get a Blood Moon down, but they can answer the Blood Moon after it's been played. A couple Veils, Mystical Dispute. This one does not have any Ceremonious Rejections, which is kind of nice for us. No extra Force Negations either. So quick Blood Moons have to be answered through Purges or other means. Speaking of which, I guess we'll go ahead and give this one a shot. We have 4 lands here. I can probably get rid of one of the mountains here and try to get the Scavenger Grounds and mountain and play Blood Moons. We'll eventually hit that 4th land. Based on us having a few 3-drops here and the value that Scavenger Grounds can get if they are able to bounce, say, a Blood Moon, pretty happy with this opening hand. Simian Spirit Guide or Ritual instead of the Bone Crusher Giant would be a welcome addition, but you know, gotta take the 7 the game gives you. But I do like this. I know my opponent will have all kinds of potential counters here at the beginning, but that's why we're gonna keep 2 Blood Moons. 2 Blood Moons also helps against Aether Gust shenanigans, so we'll see how that goes. Wouldn't be totally surprised to see my opponent find a basic plane sooner rather than later. Okay, we end up top decking that land, so we're good on lands for the most part. Just got to see if one of these sticks. Misty Rainforest and a Triome. All right, well, the Blood Moon is probably sticking unless they have a Force Negation here. Extra land. I'm gonna expose Scavenger Grounds only when I know that I could pop the Scavenger Grounds also. So one of the last things I'll be doing here. Misty Rainforest, fetching basic, I presume. Probably blue for that Aether Gust. Our next card will be Blood Moon. Basic island, right? There you go. And lands. All right. Opponent's Izzet colors right now. Izzet colors. Let's go ahead and drop this up, keep stop here. Opponent's got a Field of Dead. Definitely the Blood Moon here, even though Seasoned Pyromancer is tempting. This way, if they do have the Aether Gust, which is what they're hoping to bounce with, I have at least 2 Blood Moons. Looking pretty good. I actually don't want to necessarily lose the Scavenger Grounds with the Seasoned Pyromancer. But if we hit another dud land here, I may just go for it. Drawing into action here is probably important based on my opponent having just a singleton island here. I could also attempt to stomp plus play the Bone Crusher Giant as well. Let's go ahead and do Seasoned Pyromancer here. I'm not going to put a lot of power onto the battlefield, unfortunately, but I think just cycling through some lands that are not beneficial to us is not a bad thing. We'll go ahead and pass the turn here with Bone Crusher Giant now in hand with the land played. My opponent hasn't really done too much here because of the turn 2 Blood Moon. Bunch of red lands. At the end of their turn, we'll go ahead and attempt a stomp, kind of indicating what I would like to follow this up with. It'll probably be the Karn though. Scavenger Grounds off the top's really good. Attack for 2, Karn played and Liquid Metal Coating, shutting off their island if we get that opportunity. We could also play around a Bolt if I wanted to. We'll see if this resolves. Tail's End, nice. All right, pass the turn. Nice card there. Okay to see a Tail's End versus an Aether Gust. Opponents found their planes. They don't have green mana, but they have white and blue. Extra Magus effect here is just going to continue to slam the door shut on our opponent with all the Blood Moon effects. That is why we play 7 moons, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to try playing Magus first to play a Mana Leak, and then we'll go ahead and slam Bone Crusher Giant out as well. Now, Magus of the Moon gets killed by a few other things my opponent could be doing. things like Path and Bolt, but they'll need a Path, Bolt, Celestial Purge, and Aether Gust, probably. We'll see what the first one is. Floating Red. Bolts, Bone Crusher Giants. This is a very good sign because my opponent can't bolt the Magus and needs to keep their life total high enough to give them some time to find answers. They're needing green for Uros, and they're not finding it so far. Let's attack for 4. We got the Karn the Great Creator to play next. Hard not to just go get a Liquid Metal Coating with this once again. Could even get a Walking Ballista, which could be lethal. Let's see if it resolves. 1, 2, 3. Walking Ballista would be a 3/3. I can't imagine this Karn resolves, but it does. I want this Liquid Metal Coating so bad. I think it's still the right play here. We'll see if they've got one more counter. We'll do an upkeep stop here. We'll shut off that island. The island's the scariest thing to me. The white mana's not scary anymore. Looking pretty good. We have a 2-turn clock, and it's actually less here with the Karn. Let's go ahead and shut off the blue mana. Once the blue mana is shut off here, I attack, and then I get to play down a Walking Ballista as well. We're going to go ahead and go get that Walking Ballista. Combat. Attack for 4, and I've got a 3/3 afterwards with your island not being used. Fact or fiction here. Don't care what you get here. You can have a Teferi and a Force of Negation. That's fine. None of this works for them, and we cake the match. Taking down Money Pile with the seven moons. The lucky 7 moons here. Quick blood moons and no green mana for our opponent. Stopping the blue mana and having just the right amount of pressure here, plus maybe a couple too many moons. Or was it? We get match 6 here, taking it down. Match 7 will be up next. Round 7 here coming up against Mogd. Mogd is our next opponent. We're doing fairly well so far. Now, we'll go ahead and take a quick glance at what they've got going on. And in this case, Mogd is going to be playing Red Prowess. And what we noted is that the only card we care about is 3 Shattering Sprees sideboard. So we don't have a total of 4, but 3 will be a problem in games 2 and game 3. One thing that this benefits us now is that we don't look for Blood Moon hands, we look for Chalice or Bridge hands. So this is one of the times I feel like we have a shot here and it favors us a little bit more than our opponents, knowing that they should be fetching basics. With that being said, let's go ahead and create our match here and see if we can get Mogd in and play some ManaTraders series action here. We'll see what we got going on here. About 10 seconds before we're supposed to have the match played, so plenty of time for Mogd to start looking for our match here. Hopefully they'll find us. Doing pretty well. I'm happy that everything's coming together with the list. Occasionally things fall apart. I think the open decks is a bit of an interesting one because I feel like Blood Moon can be a problematic card for us to be playing, and I could see this dwindling as we go on with people being very, very picky with making sure they know exactly what's going on against each other. All that being said, though, we'll look for this opponent. Hopefully we can find it. Double check that they haven't accidentally created one. They have not. We're good to go, and Mogd is correct. It looks like it. So we'll just wait for this opponent to find us. We'll get into our next match. All right, Mogd has been found. Let's play some Magic. Hopefully we get to play, but we don't. That's all right. We'll play on the draw. Looking for those Chalice and Bridge hands for sure here in game number 1. Well, we found the Bridge hand. We also have an Anger. It's kind of interesting, and I don't really need this Magus. We could keep a hand like this. I'll probably go ahead and do this. Although we would like to find that Chalice, this should be pretty decent as well. So happy to go ahead and keep this. We'll just ditch Magus here, knowing that our opponent is on what they are. All right, good luck, opponent. Soulscar Mage is the opening here. Let's go ahead and lay out a Anger the Gods as our first card and pass the turn. Just wanting to keep our health as healthy as possible since we're going to be delayed on getting that chalice, which looks like it'll be completely fine here. We'll play bridge here and pass turn. Mog's turn 3 here. We've played 2 mountains. We'll see if they follow up any others. They got a third one. And they'll be playing a light up the stage, finding themselves a Bone Crusher plus light up the stage, number 4. Lucky for us, we're finding our mana appropriately here. Let's go ahead and play Chandra. Uptick for damage and pass turn. This is going to be probably a fast one, firing back and forth here with red decks here in the 7th round of the ManaTraders series. Stomps us, putting us to 18. This allows them to cast light up the stage, and they will, finding Lava Dart and Lightning Bolt. Blast Zone, but not red. Let's go ahead. It's tough to say. I could go up here with Chandra, or I could go with the Seasoned Pyromancer, digging too deep. Let's dig too deep with Seasoned Pyromancer here. And if we find that chalice, we get to use Chandra here. We end up finding it. We would have found it with the uptick because it was the first card we cast. So chalice on 1 here. Go ahead. Blast Zone here is a pretty good one that we overlooked in their land base. But basically, we're going to follow it up with a Magus and should be relatively clear from this killing bridge or Chandra. Chandra is at 6 here. So that looks good. Lights the stage here, finding land, plus it looks like a new Bone Crusher Giant. A lot of cards here in exile. Lava Darts gets countered by our Chalice, does nothing to us. Lightning Bolts, same results. Let's go ahead and just go up here for damage. It's a Blood Moon. I probably can go ahead and play this Blood Moon. Just a little bit safer than the Magus, and we'll pass turn. Yes, we did miss an attack. No, I'm not interested in that because we have the Magus, and if they are able to somehow get around the Chalice, you attack in. Even though we know our opponent and what they're doing, I like having this as an option. All right. Sideboard we go. We're going to bring a Braids and Kozilek's Return in. Kozilek's Return is not going to kill as many things as we like, but occasionally it will be necessary. I do want to look at these Rabble Masters as well, as these would be a little bit better than some of the, say, Blood Moons that we have, or the Maguses. Now, we have to consider what my opponent has in their sideboard. So if we glance really quick, it's Shattering Sprees, it's Relics, Pithy Needles, Flame Slashes, Pillages, and Bone Crusher Giants, and an Obosh. Looking at these options, I see 2 Blast Zones as well, so we really just have 3 Shattering Sprees we somehow need to avoid and or be killing them. Pithy Needle will be a problem as well. With that being said, Blast Zone is a problem. I think I'm going to kind of do a little bit of half and half here with what we take out. Let's grab a Seasoned Pyromancer too. Let's take a look at what this is looking like so far. 3 Rabble Masters, a Braid, Kozilek's Return, some Angers, a couple Seasoned Pyromancers, Bone Crusher Giants. Let's bring a Seasoned Pyromancer back in for one of the Maguses here. Let's bring the Maguses all. No, let's split it 2 and 1 here. It wouldn't be bad to shut off a Blast Zone, even though if we were to get Bridge down, Karn, and Chalices appropriately, we should be pretty okay. We can hang on to future Chalices, not be too concerned about that. So Braids, Kozilek's Return, and Rabble Master. Let's go ahead and ditch 1 Rabble Master. Do we want these at all? I think Rabble Master generates some tokens that we'll want to block with. Let's go ahead and give this a shot, looking for those Chalices on 1, Bridges, and maybe an extra Chalice because of Shattering Spree. We will be holding things appropriately as we can. Hand is completely busted. Let's go ahead and keep this and see what they've got. My opponent doesn't rush anything out here. I'm going to do the same. I don't need to use the Simian Spirit Guide to make the Chalice here. Absolutely no rush whatsoever. There's a Swift Spear. I'm not even going to worry about angering or anything like that. They can have their light up the stage. Stage is lit. An Obosh move out. 2 Seasoned Pyromancers. All right, so pretty easy. Just Chalice on 1, nice and slow. If they do fire one of these Seasoned Pyromancers off, the Anger of the Gods looks that much better. And they do. Pitching a few cards here, maybe 1 drops. All right, Anger of the Gods looking exceptionally good here. Bomat and Bone Crusher Giant hit the bin. 1 damage in. Completely fine with that. Let's go ahead and 3 it in. Anger of the Gods clears the board here. We got a Bone Crusher I can actually get off here without needing to pay right now for it. Funny. Doesn't always happen that way. Blast Zone's a little bit scary with the bridge. Let's just take our time getting to that. Opponent decides Shattering Spree here is what they need to do. Makes sense to me. Killing off there. We play a Soul Scar Mage behind this. I'm gonna actually go ahead and exile and attempt to stomp here. Clear that out of the way. Now we can play a... Tempted to play Bone Crusher Giant, honestly. Let's just forget the bridge. We don't need it at the moment. Maybe get a little bit of damage in. Obosh goes to hand. All right, in for 4. I'm gonna go ahead and play down the bridge and pass the turn. Now both of these die to the Blast Zone here. I'm expecting Obosh probably to be played soon. We have a Soul Scar Mage followed up with an Obosh here. Okay. Looking all right. Mountain, we'll play Seasoned Pyromancer. Got a Chandra and nothing else. Looks okay. So it'll be interesting here to see if this Blast Zone kills the bridge anytime soon. We're gonna have some good chump blockers for a while. No Lava Dart in the yard currently. It's good for us. I'd love to be able to kill the Obosh. 1, 2, 3, 4. Chandra. Uptick here. And then Magus right after. Feels pretty safe. Gonna look to see if we can win with a Chandra here. No Chalice on 1 to protect anything going on here. Blast Zone's being put up to 3. Maybe 4. I think they should go to 3. We have a lot of things on 3, including Magus. I would definitely take it up to 3, and they do so. 1 unknown card here. No Bolt at end step here, so Magus stays around and keeping Blast Zone in check briefly. All right, so we need a few more turns here with the Chandra. We'll see if we get that lucky. All right. See what my opponent plays here. 1 mana spell. Could be seeing this bridge disappear. New Soul Scar Mage. No follow-up. We have a new Chandra. All right, so where we're at in this game, we could continue to go up with this Chandra, or I can take the opportunity to shoot this so that when we do lose quite a few things, we're not losing so quickly. I'm gonna go ahead and kill the Obosh here because it's the thing that could end this game a lot faster if they get around our lock. Now this does open this up to all kinds of lava darts and bolts and other things like that, but I'm not so worried. I think just avoiding this being blown up and then losing here is important. Opponent even hits this Magus here, unlocking their Blast Zone. All right, I feel good about the line we took here. They've got to kill 1 here and 1 upstairs. Completely fine with what happened. Probably the best line for us. Okay. Let's go ahead and pass turn here. I have 7 mana, so I can actually abrade and Seasoned Pyromancer tokens here. I'm probably going to abrade a Bone Crusher Giant. It's pretty brutal. So Seasoned Pyromancer tokens come back here. I actually don't mind a double block. In a way, I could fire off the Abrade to kill this. They decide to Lava Dart me. Almost tempted to kill this, but I know this Bone Crusher Giant's going to show up here, so we'll take it like this. We take 2 down to 13. And then Bone Crusher Giant. We can even probably take a potential Anger off the top here. So there's the Bone Crusher. I'll probably just, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. We'll just take the draw. Land and pass turn. Fiery Islet for a redraw from my opponent. Finds themselves a little bone mat here. Let's go ahead and kill Bone Crusher Giant. Take 2 instead of 4. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 damage. It can be half health if they want it to be. Let's go ahead and fire off a Scavenger Grounds here. Scavenger Grounds is more to clear their Lava Dart rather than do anything with my graveyard. They do not fire off the Lava Dart. Good for us. I don't see a reason why they don't. 3 mana. Light up the stage. Pillages. All right. 4, 5 damage, putting me to 8. I'm dead to a bolt. Need Anger. I need Bridge. I need Karn. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Light up the stage. Whew. A few mountains. All right. A few mountains doesn't kill me. That will, though. All right. So we end up flooding out a little harder here. There's our bridge. Just one more down. So let's take a Magus out, bring a Blood Moon back in. That Blast Zone kind of hurt us quite a bit. I'm almost tempted to just switch the Rabble Master out for a Magus as well. Not worry about the Rabble Master plan. Let's take another Rabble Master. You know, but we're on the play. Let's think here for a moment. Kozilek's return is going to be reasonable in many cases. We want that to still be in here. Braids are good. Bone Crusher Giant's not bad. Season Pyromancer. I think we want to just do this. We'll just add the smattering of the Rabble Master. Let's do it this way. So 2 Rabble Masters here in Blood Moons. Bone Crushers, Simian Spirit Guides. We are on the play, so let's act like we're on the play and not play passively. Look for those fast chalices. Let's play first. Come on, good 7. It's an okay 7. We have a bridge, we have an Anger. Once again, we don't have the chalice immediately here. All right, we're gonna keep it. I know I don't have that chalice, but bridge is still very good, and I want them to get through the shattering sprees on more bridges rather than on chalices. Since I have the removal spell in a Bone Crusher Giant, and then a follow-up Anger, we can just take our time. Which is maybe a bit strange, but we have that luxury here being on the play. Okay, we got to beat a very fast deck here. We have a reasonable hand. Not disappointed with it, that's for sure. Soulscar Mage. Let's go ahead and just stomp that away. Pass the turn. You can definitely wait on this bridge for a little bit. We're at Blast Zone again. My opponent's had that Blast Zone several times. Wouldn't mind seeing Bowmat plus a Monastery Swift Spear here. Looks like it's just Bowmat. Follow up, light up the stage. We have a Swift Spear coming after this. All right. Tempted to put a Seasoned Pyromancer in plus Simian Spirit Guide and pitch the land here. Doing this because I can bait out this Swift Spear before using the Anger. Oh gosh, we hit the same land. This also makes it a little bit awkward for them to attack into a bow mat here unless they have some removal spells. And if they end up removing the Seasoned Pyromancer, we get to use it as a token later. I like what we've done here, digging for answers and getting past some things that look like non-hits for our opponent. Puts a Pithing Needle down. Interesting. Assume this will be a Chandra or a Karn. Not entirely surprised to see a Pithing Needle. Just know that we'll have to work around that over the course of the game. Definitely doable. Named Chandra. All right. Easy enough. Let's go ahead and double block here to see if I can get them to fire off something to save their Swift Spear. If they don't, then I just get to play Bone Crusher to defend this. My opponent decides Lava Dart's the way to save it here, which does save it, which is fine. All right. Here, pretty easy. Anger the Gods and pass turn. Opponent's got 3 cards in their hand. We've got a Bone Crusher, and a Bridge to play, plus Seasoned Pyromancer out of the yard. Trying to make this work. Soulscar Mage. All right, there's bridge number 1 here, so let's go ahead and play bridge number 1. Leave myself with a Bone Crusher Giant open. Gonna do this on their turn because actually prowessing their Soulscar Mage makes it so it doesn't attack. Them doing something here makes me want to go ahead and kill this, but this Lava Dart would prevent that. We'll take our 2 here. So beginning of combat, we're going to stomp. They're not going to lose their creature here because of potentially Lava Dart or something they have in hand, but this way they don't attack through. This also gives me the option to create some blockers here for the Soulscar Mage, and having some blockers here is going to direct some of the damage to the creature, and I can save the bridge and save this one for after a second Shattering Spree. Also, firing off this Lava Dart here would be fine because they would go down a land. Looks like we'll probably just see Bone Crusher Giant. And I'll just match them here with our Bone Crusher Giant. Yeah, we're just going to match them. Not going to worry about using Scavenger Grounds just yet. Tapping this way makes it look like I don't have another Stomp. They should already know by our deck list that we don't. 3 mana. Seasoned Pyromancer, that's a good one for them. Discarding 2 cards here. Pillage plus Firebolt. Interesting that they're doing this to discard a Pillage, which is one way to get rid of the bridge. We have our own Seasoned Pyromancer here. Tempted to hold this for one more turn and just play this new Bone Crusher Giant here. Let's tap a little more appropriately this time. All right, got a couple blockers here, nothing too frightening. I want to be able to use this Seasoned Pyromancer a little more effectively than I would with getting rid of this bridge. Again, we're trying to avoid something like a Pillage, a Shattering Spree, or something like that. Obosh to hand. I doubt they attack here. Okay. It's a Desperate Ritual. Let's go ahead and 1, 2, 3. Yeah, let's do it this way. 1, 2, 3. Seasoned Pyromancer getting rid of Rabblemaster Desperate Ritual here. Find a land and a bonus bridge. I'm going to hold tight here. We have all of the bridges in our list right now. We really don't want to lose to a Blast Zone randomly here. Opponent decides to bolt a Bone Crusher Giant. Totally fine with us. 5 mana. This puts Obosh online. This will be a Scavenger Grounds turn to get rid of things like fire bolts and lava darts. Love to be able to kill this. Not going to be able to. Lava darts here, fire bolts are here. One, two, use Scavenger Grounds. I can use the Scavenger Grounds off the Chandra. No, I can't. Chandra is not usable because of the Pithing Needle. Let's go ahead and do it this way. If I don't play a bridge down here, then they could attack with Obosh. That's probably okay, because what I'll end up doing is like quad blocking Obosh if they decide that's worth it. We can also chump block with Seasoned Pyromancer, make new tokens in the future. Just trying to avoid Blast Zone doing some nasty stuff, although they've got some stuff on 3 as well. This one's a close one. Shattering Spree, definitely a problematic card here. This is one of our harder matchups to date. Combat. No attack here. Interesting to see no attack. I'm expecting Blast Zone to go up to 3. With that being the case here, let's go ahead and put a Chandra down and pass turn. Nothing I can do with the Chandra because of the Pithing Needle. Gonna be probably chump blocking here and trying to put extra bridge down afterwards. Lucky for us, this kills quite a few of their things as well, so I can chump block Obosh and chump block an Elemental if I wanted to. If they send any towards Chandra, we're in an okay spot here too, gaining life by them killing that versus just letting the Pithing Needle take care of it. Looks like Blast Zone's going to be fired off here. We're all going to lose all kinds of stuff here, opponent. All the creatures going to go to the bin. Deals double damage. Would love to see a Chalice. Being able to play Chalice plus Bridge this coming turn would be really, really nice. Some tough thoughts here since they're going to lose most of their board as well. They could play a turn where they attack here. I'm just going to be chump blocking Seasoned Pyromancer here. The other thing I could do is chump Season, chump an Elemental, and double down on Obosh to kill the Obosh. They'll have to pop this in response. Looks like they're committing to Blast Zone. So boards are pretty clear here now. We have a Bomat, which is little concern here, plus extra Bomat. I'm going to exile so that Obosh doesn't come in here. So we just get attacked by a bunch of little elemental type of tokens. Oh, why am I exiling? We don't have our bridge. They just blew it up. A couple Bomat triggers. Now we're going to regret doing that. Well, block and then block a Bomat here. Yep, we regret we regret our actions there on the Simian Spirit Guide. I really hate the double damage coming in for 6 here. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they get an extra card under Omnath here. I guess the difference is very negligible. Let's go ahead and Kozilek's return and pass turn. We should be able to get a bridge down here. I was thinking I still have my bridge. All right, in for 6 here, we go to 6. Pretty much anything off the top kills us. Ooh. All right, Chalice on 1. And we'll play a bridge and hope that's enough to hold the gates here. Seasoned Pyromancer comes down. This is 4 damage. Yeah, I should have one less card in hand. Our Simian Spirit Guide Exile cost us. Well, they had the Shattering Spree either way, and they were going to be able to kill the bridges that we had here. Well, there you go. Shattering Spree, one of our nemesis here, taking us down in round 7 here. Prowess did pretty good. Just Shattering Spree is definitely a card that can break our locks because of the Chalice on 1. I should get this correct, I would imagine. We'll make sure they replicate properly here. So even if we had the Chalice down, we'd have to be empty-handed. We would have taken 6 less. It maybe would have gotten us there. They actually don't get rid of the Chalice because they didn't replicate properly. It would have been a tough one. Would have been tough to see if that would have unfolded a little different if I had the Simian Spirit Guide. Their replicate on the Shattering Spree would have gotten everything there. And if that was the case, we still had 2 turns where he had mountains and they had an Obosh that would have been attacking us because they would have gotten the extra bridge because I probably would have had it down earlier. If we were able to wait afterwards in the 6, then we would get that. They would just need to find a way to maybe stomp me once. Anyway, there you go. Round 7 there, a loss. That's okay though. We'll see you in round number 8. Round 8, here we go. We are going to play against Bortus99, and Bortus99 is playing Dredge. Not much to say about the list, it's pretty stock. Conflags in there, we've got Nature's Claims, Pithing Needles in the sideboard. We've got the Golgari, Thugs and Oxes, and, you know, just the typical stuff. So we'll go ahead and create this matchup, see when we can get this person in, and yeah, see how it goes. So what we probably want the most from this matchup is Blood Moon wouldn't be bad, Bridge isn't bad either, and then Karn to find a way to get a Tormod's Crypt. I don't have a very good recursive way to get rid of the graveyard in our build. Dredge hasn't been a very popular deck online for some time, so I appreciate my opponent finding probably a line here that makes sense. This hand's interesting. I don't mind the Blood Moon. I don't mind a Chandra here either. Magus is the weaker of the cards here. We are on the draw, so I could put the Magus away and try to get this Blood Moon out pretty quick. So let's go ahead and keep this. If I can lock them out more by like not letting them cast Life from the Loam and then have the Karn, we could get somewhere with that. So let's give that the best shot here. Let's hopefully draw some lands as well. See how it goes. Round 8 here in the challenge. Stomping Ground, Shock's in here. I assume this is going to be a Shriekhorn. It's a pretty typical starting one from opponents like this. See what we got here. Shocked in Stomping Ground. No follow-up. Well, we top decked the Ritual. You know what that means. Going to Karn. I can pretty much go get, I think, Liquid Metal Coating here. I'm really tempted to go get a Tormod's Crypt in case they do something at instant speed and pitch here. But let's do Liquid Metal Coating. It's the card that locks this game out the most here. I'm gonna like haggle something away here, and we're just gonna have to dodge some crazy cards. Narcomoeba is one of the cards they do hit. Doesn't kill Karn, thankfully. Got an Ox over here as well, Mana Confluence. We hit a land. We could also just Blood Moon. Be interesting. Life from the Loam to pick up some lands here. Attack for 1, I assume. So we do pick up a land here. Honestly, this is probably just a Blood Moon turn here and just pass the turn, putting Karn up 1 more. I'd love to go down here to go get like Tormod's Crypt, but then I'll lose my Karn. An extra land here is pretty nice. Land, Chandra, Liquid Metal Coating, start shutting down some of these lands that they have. Attacks Karn again. Could even Chandra downtick on the Narcomoeba here. My opponent has plenty of lands. I'm expecting them to play these. 3 mana and puts the Veil in play here. So we can go sideboard if I want to. If I go sideboard, though, I have to almost get a Walking Ballista here. Alternatively, I could put Liquid Metal Coating into play and use it as a blocker against the Merchant of the Veil. We have a Stinkweed Imp, which means they're going to dredge some stuff here. We needed to hit that land so I could have played the Chandra, and we ended up missing the land here. Let's not worry about the Liquid Metal Coating living here. Let's go ahead and put this up and use Liquid Metal Coating to defend against Merchant here and see if I can spike the land to kill this. We'll take 1 damage here and have a Karn. I could always go and fetch this Liquid Metal Coating back later. Having Karn around here to get a bridge in the future is probably a way that we can sneak out a win. We gotta play to this. Ox is online for my opponent as well. We could be seeing quite a few things hitting the bin. And a Conflag is a problem card here without, say, a bridge. All right. Obvious attack here. We're going to do Liquid Metal Coating to block. Really, really needing this land. Our quick start here not paying off. If I had something like a Relic, it would have paid off a lot more. Been able to get that. Tormod's Crypt just being that one-of shot here, just not making a lot of sense to go get. We do hit the land, so we have this option now. So I can Chandra, I can down tick, I could also Chandra up tick, use Karn to go get a Walking Ballista. It's probably not worth it here. So let's go ahead and go Chandra, downtick on the Merchant here, and uptick with Karn. See if that benefits us in any capacity. They'll probably end up killing Chandra here, giving breathing room to Karn for a turn. That would be my guess. If we get breathing room with Karn here, we can go get, not quite bridge just yet. Though we could get a Walking Ballista to shoot this down. Opponents holding their lands here in case they find themselves with some blood ghasts. Love to steal this game 1 from our opponent. Felt like we're a bit of an underdog for most of this series. I'm gonna do a discard and draw off of the Merchant. Okay, draws Golgari Thug here, replacement effect. Takes a natural draw, apparently. Interesting. Let's go up. Pass turn. Interesting enough, a Batterskull could play a lot of value here. Stinkweed goes away. We have a Golgari Thug, and we know that we still have this Ox sitting around. 2 mana here. I don't see a conflag, so it's going to be the Ox. An Ox is going to fire off some things dredged and drawn. I'm at a healthy 17, but that changes quickly. We have to assume each one of these games we start at 12 life, which is awful, but that's just the nature of playing against Dredge when you're playing Red Prism. And we do talk about it quite a bit, but the inclusion of Creeping Chill has kind of made this matchup be favored to what it was favored. It was that in the past. Once that was printed, it's now become unfavored, unfortunately. It's really hard for us to deal with the graveyard like we used to. Not because we don't have the right cards to deal with it, it's just because Creeping Chill can definitely just end up making it so that one flag can be game ending, especially with Life from the Loam. Now we've got that shut off because of Blood Moon, so that's one check mark to needing some things set here to win this game. Grafdigger's Cage would be a nice inclusion, and if we don't find ourselves using the Damping Sphere very often, it could be added in that slot. My opponent decides Cathartic Reunion over doing Ox here. Draws 3 cards either way. Extra Narcomedia, here's one of these Creeping Chills, and we do see 1 Bloodghast. If we hit another Creeping Chill, this Bloodghast could attack for lethal. This may also be the turn to go ahead and downtick with the Karn. We do see a conflag here too, and we know my opponent has the conflags. 2 Creeping Chills, land drop, conflag here, do damage, bring back Bloodghast here. We're pretty close to just dying. They can do what, 7 to me if they do the full conflag, putting me to 4, and this would take me to 1. And then they just have to mill over 1 more Creeping Chill because they have 1 more in the list. I would have to get Bridge, play Blood Moon into play, and then hope to have another turn, 2 turns later, to get a Tormod's Crypt to get out of this. My opponent could also potentially do Ox here, and if they do Ox, hitting another Bloodghast. They've already put their land in. Never mind, they can't do Ox. If they do Ox, we have a lot more outs. I was thinking they could do Ox and get another Bloodghast plus Creeping Chill and attack, but that's not quite doable here. So here it's just conflag. I think they can flag for the full 7. If they're worried about these walkers, I'd conflag 3, 1, and then... Opponent's lag checking, I guess. It's not our turn. We're yielding. It's always funny. A, B, C, D. So yeah, we do see just the 1 conflag. They ended up finding that, which is really good. Wrong screen. Pays cost. We're going to get conflagged here for quite a bit, I'd imagine. Conflags to kill the Chandra and does some damage upstairs. Hasting attacks. They can attack Karn down. We'll need a Anger or a Bridge, it looks like. We hit none of those. Simian Spirit Guide can block this. 2, 3, 4. We'll go ahead and cast it. There's an Archamoeba. I see another Bloodghast here as well. Plays the land from one of the Life from the Loams they used earlier. 1, 2, 3, 4. Block. I could hit an Anger here, so that's why we're playing it out. If my opponent is holding one of their Creeping Chills, maybe we get lucky. There's a Shriekhorn. All right. Mills themselves, finds another Narcomoeba. Anger? Has to be Anger now. They're going to use Ox here. The way that they're using the Ox here means they have a Creeping Chill left in the deck. There goes Ox. Discarding a Stinkweed. There's a Conflag. I don't think I have an out now. Draw. Uh-oh. 4 cards left. There's something that does 4, right? Dredge 4. There's Creeping Chill. All right, right at the bottom of the library. 3rd from the bottom. Top deck was going to be a Scavenger Grounds. All right. So, what do we have? Kozilek's Return's okay here. Really, we don't have a whole lot for this matchup. We can take a Chalice out. I could probably bring in a Braid for another Chalice. Chalice isn't bad, though, because they're going to bring in what I assume will be Nature's Claims. That's right, Nature's Claims, what they've got. We're not poorly suited here because I have sets of Angers and Seasoned Pyromancers to block. So we're definitely not in a bad spot. We can make an argument for putting Rabblemaster in to be more aggressive. But I think we want to do just as much hard locking as we can. Torp Orb's a bit of an interesting one because you can bring this in and it can stop stuff from entering off of prized amalgams. So there is this line. I don't think this is worth it though. It's going to probably just be the Kozilek Return. It's tough to say because even an attacking Rabblemaster doesn't get the job done each time. You can make an argument that the Abrade is just not like a single target removal is not very good. So we could like do this. And then from here, we could probably take a Magus out and then maybe 1 Bone Crusher Giant. We can try that. Get out of here, Bone Crusher. We could try this, which would be more aggressive. We are in the play, so we can play towards being more aggressive. In this case, maybe the Kozilek's Return comes out for 1 Abrade, just because we don't want to board wipe necessarily. But also, if my opponent's going to be playing creatures that get in our way, we don't want to necessarily have them just chum block or whatever, or Narcomoebas fly over or something like that. It's a tough place to be since we just don't have much graveyard hate. I'm going to go ahead and try this package here and see if we can maybe be more aggressive than our opponent. Turn one Goblin or something like that could be fun. All right, let's play first. So we have an Anger, we have some Karns, we have a Chalice that's a relatively dead card. I don't like having 2 Karns here. Albeit Karn can go get the Tormod's Crypt after the fact. All right, we'll go ahead and keep it only because I have the Anger. Maybe I can Chalice land Blood Moon or something like that, and the Chalice is going to stop the claim. Maybe get lucky in that way. My opponent's mulliganing quite a bit here. We've got them scared of Blood Moon. This also may pay off for us that my opponent doesn't play something on turn 1 because they've mulliganed quite a bit. We'll see. We'll see. Look at that mountain. That's a good mountain. Well, I'm going to put that theory to the test. Will Rabblemaster be enough? Chalice on 1. I'm sure we're going to haggle here. Haggle putting a Dredger into the bin. Life from the Loam. Dredges that back. Bloodghast and Ox. Actually not the scariest things to see here. Stomping Ground brings the Bloodghast back. Could almost just Bone Crusher Giant. They pick up their Bloodstained Mire with the Life from the Loam. Well, we are going to Bone Crusher Giant now. Dredges, there's a Prized Amalgam. I really don't want to take any damage if I don't have to. Obviously, this is probably coming back here when they play another land, which is the one that they had picked up with the with the Life from the Loam. 2 mana Cathartic Reunion. We're just going to go with everything here. 2 Creeping Creeping Chills and a Narcomoeba, bringing back also the prized amalgam. And we have an Ox here as well. When Ox comes back, it gets a +1/+1 counter as well. Probably okay to just try to anger, though. Need a top deck land, that's for sure. And we do miss our land. This isn't going to be good for us. We'll probably be dead in 2 turns now because we've failed at doing this. My opponent will bring back these Bloodghast here. They're playing very passively with these to avoid an Anger of the Gods. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage, putting me to 6. Flag can be for 5, putting me to 1. So like I said, 2 turns here. Not much I can do here. Maybe I can Anger out. My opponent has nothing else and they miss all 2 remaining Creeping Chills. But I think Dredge is going to take us here. Not a matchup I expected to play. Haven't seen Dredge in quite some time. A good choice, I think, for the meta here. And they do get us just because they have Life from the Loam. They can flag here. We'll throw the GGs out. They got us here on turn 4 and didn't have that 3rd land to get through with the Anger of the Gods. Probably should have mulliganed away the 2 Karns here. Got punished for not doing so. And opponent takes us down. That leaves us as 5-3 here with one more round here in day number 1 to find out where we place and what we might be doing or not doing tomorrow. That was round 8. We'll see you in match number 9, round 9 in the ManaTraders series. Round number 9 here, our final round here, and I believe it's actually the final round because I think top 8 or top 16 or something like that gets to play on the day 2. So this will most likely be our final match, and it's been quite an enjoyable experience. ManaTraders has put on quite an excellent event. A lot of good Discord discussions as well, and might I say, I recommend it. Now, we're against Nakashima, and Nakashima's list is basically oops all spells. I'm not a big fan of playing against this one, and mainly because we could be dead in a turn or 2, and we don't have too much that goes after this. Now, looking at their list here, they've got Pact of Negations, 4 of in the sideboard, but they're sporting Leyline's main. We have, let's see here, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. They have Thoughtseize, Ravenous Trap, Nature's Claim, Vendettas, Natural States, and Pact of Negations here for their sideboard. So those are the things we'll have to worry about. Basically, game 1, I'm probably looking for Karn and Blood Moon or Bridge. Not all 3 of those, but one set or the other. So that'll be the hope here. Let's take a double check of the time. I'm gonna give it about 10 more seconds. I try to be close to the time that they suggest we start playing. And so with this, good luck to us. Round number 9, match 9, game 1. Let's play some Magic. Fingers crossed here. We're gonna have to get some good starting hands. We will happily play first. Well, we have Bridge and Blood Moon. I don't think it gets too much better than that. And I could literally play these out on turn 1 and turn 2. Just to verify, I don't believe they had a Thoughtseize or anything like that. No. So let's go ahead and keep this. I probably just play Blood Moon first, and then I play Ensnaring Bridge. My opponent's mulligan to 5. It makes me almost want to play a little bit slower. The only reason I suggest playing a little bit slower is so that I can truly empty my hand for Bridge. I could kind of do like ramming out gemstones into Blood Moon or into Bridge pretty safely here. With 5 cards, I can't imagine I'm getting turn 1 here, so we'll just give it back to them. Play slightly slower here. That way I can truly empty my hand for the Bridge and have about 3-4 mana afterwards. I don't want to hit a few Planeswalkers and be in problem states. Does not bolt this in. Looks good to us. Top of the library is a mountain, means I don't have to take any damage here as well. Can Ritual. I think I want to Bridge first here. We'll just pass the turn. Bridging first here, I can empty and not get attacked by so many big creatures, and then I can play Gemstone plus Blood Moon and be pretty safe. So in case they have a couple random rituals here. We have decided to bolt in here. 2 mana, Talisman. We should be okay from here, I think. Extra Gemstone Caverns is not the greatest. We'll play our Blood Moon past turn. We're okay now to empty our hand with Simian Spirit Guides. Hopefully my opponent can't inflict too much damage here. We got a shot here. This is 4 mana for my opponent. Could be Spy, could be the Undercity Informer. Either card is viable here for them. Speaking of sideboards, we're probably going to need this Tormod's Crypt mainboarded. They switch to the Undercity Informer here. They're going to go ahead and pop this. The answer is no. Interesting. All right. From here, Chalice. Where can Chalice be placed? I don't think there's really anything I'm too worried about. No, I don't think so. Let's put a... Let's just cast a Simian Spirit Guide here, play a land, and put a Chalice into play. We're putting a Chalice on 0 here. I don't need the Chalice. Chalice won't be necessary. It's maybe necessary the next game, but being so close underneath the bridge here and knowing that I don't really need this on anything else, this should be a lock against an opponent like this. Chalice on 0 means I can't Tormod's Crypt immediately off of a Karn, but that's okay with us. Looks like my opponent wishes to continue playing Magic with us, which is fine. But this should be a hard lock, which is good. We'll see, though. Could be wrong. Opponent paying 3 mana in here again. Do they have a second Undercity Informer? They do. That's fine. Land played. Gives me the turn back. There's a ritual. I don't particularly like having this ritual. I suppose I can just play... Let's just ritual out here and pass turn. I'm not going to play the Simian Spirit Guide out. I can always exile it at any point. I want to be able to hold 4 mana for a 4-drop. There's very little reason for me to be casting this Simian Spirit Guide. But yeah, at this point we've got them completely locked out. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they just cast a Simian Spirit Guide. Cool. Looks like we're just going to go back and forth here for a little bit. Let's go ahead and anger the board and pass turn. Not a whole lot going on here, obviously. My opponent's taking more damage off their Talisman than I've been able to do to them. Off their lands as well. 2 mana here for looks like a Pentad Prism. It's good for them. They've got some colors of mana if they want them. 3 mana Simian Spirit Guide number 2. Yeah, number 2. Maybe not. Maybe not. All right. Makes black mana instead. Undercity Informer again. That's fine. All right. Pass the turn. Can I get a land? Bone Crusher Giant's all right. Guess we'll just cast a Bone Crusher Giant and pass turn. Could be doing 2 upstairs, but again, I don't think that's going to be necessary here. I don't know if they're waiting to see if I draw another 4-drop or something is what they're assuming. I'm just hanging on to Simeon's Spirit Guide right now because it's just a thing that I can exile at any point. Combat skips that. Not much else to say about this game. We'll just wait until my opponent concedes or we find our Chandra. There's a land. It's not the land I want. I'll just pass. One, 2, 3, 4. It's a spy. Just cast a Creeping Chill. I like that. All right, sounds good. Sounds good. Goes to our turn. Chandra, Karn. Well, Seasoned Pyromancer's a bit of a weird one here. Let's go ahead and exile 1, 2, 3, Seasoned Pyromancer. We draw some cards. They happen to be lands. We still get to keep ourselves under the 1 card limit here with a mountain in hand. Future Seasoned Pyromancers could be a little bit dangerous. We don't have that many left, though. Opponent's making blue mana. We got a flying Narcomoeba now. All right, Narcomoeba could kill us. I like my opponent's persistence here. Drew another land, pass the turn. So 4 creeping chills takes me to 12. Means 8 attacks with the Narcomoeba is lethal. We should be okay. I would think I will find a castable spell in 8 cards here. There we go, there's Chandra. Alright, Chandra in play here. Let's end this game, please. Up for damage and pass turn. We will not cast Ritual. Go ahead, opponent. This is what we needed. We'll just pass the turn, no actions from us. Safely behind the bridge in the Blood Moon. There we go. Opponent does finally concede here. They were waiting for us to cast that last card. Absolutely fine with us. Seasoned Pyromancer, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 for Karn as well. Able to play things with the Chandra. Okay, so this matchup's definitely an Abrade. It's tough. It's tough. Damping Sphere could be played. I'll probably consider this. Torp Orb's not really, doesn't matter because my opponent's going to get Narcomoebas in, and then they're going to get the Sword of the Meeks in. I don't think that would matter as much. Pithing Needle is somewhat useful. Tormod's Crypt mainboarded is not a bad idea either. Now my opponent's got Natural State as their cards and Nature's Claims, which gives them a few more outs. Natural State, MTG. I'm getting a card check on this. This is the 1 mana, and so is Claim. So really we just need a Chalice on potentially 1. Pact of Negation's also a reason to have maybe a Chalice on 0. Thoughtseize is not a big problem, but it is a card to consider. All right, Seasoned Pyromancers come out for this matchup. I definitely want this Pithing Needle. Tormod's Crypt is 1 and 2. I don't mind the Abrade either. The Damping Sphere is kind of cute. It's a little bit awkward if we do Ritual out our own Blood Moon effect. Some of the ways you can lock them out is a Blood Moon into a Karn here, and the Blood Moon prevents them from playing their lands as normal, and Karn will stop the Pentad Prisms. I think this is probably one of our better lines here. I get rid of the Seasoned Pyromancers because it's just not going to matter with these out. So that being said, I think I'm happy with this. Let's go ahead and send it back. See if we can win either game 2 or game 3 and close out the evening on a W. Mulliganing down to a quick bridge here is not a bad idea either, with a backup chalice or something like that. All right, so we have Blood Moon effects here, but we have quite a few lands. I think this one's actually worth a mulligan. The opponent typically needs a Pentad Prism or a Talisman anyway, and they'll be searching for these. I don't mind this mulligan here. This gets interesting. So we can play a fast Magus here. I get rid of a Gemstone, and then we're left with these. I could put Gemstone, Magus, and then put the Chandra into play. Against any other opponent, this would make a lot of sense. Against this opponent, probably doesn't make sense. Can we play a very fast Chandra here? It's questionable. Basically, we do a turn 1 Chandra. My opponent's mulligan to 5. I'm trying to convince myself that I don't need maybe the Magus, and I could just ritual out a crazy Chandra and try to win from there. I'll need a third land for every Chandra uptick to be a little more valuable, but if I top deck, say, Karn, things could get pretty busted. I think because my opponent's gone to 5, we're going to give it a shot here. It's a bit risky. I could also get rid of, say, a Desperate Ritual here and go with the Magus. My opponent's got 4 cards. It's starting to make me think if I just go Magus here, it's a bit safer. I could also take it to a true turn 2, not off the Gemstone, not off Gemstone for turn 1. My opponent is playing first here. I'm going to say okay here and do a true turn 2 Chandra because I have 2 lands. I don't think it's worth the Gemstone Caverns actually being played, Magus, and putting Chandra in on turn 1. This could be incorrect, but this gives me a few more options here on turn 2 whenever I do end up playing out. Gives me also a little breather room because they rarely will have the cards to make the Talisman or the Pentad Prism very quickly. Tormod's Crypt is mainboarded, so we'll see. We have a Shock in here. Looks like we've got a Pentad Prism here. So if I get Karn, like Karn would be great here off the top. So no Karn. Let's go ahead and ritual out the Chandra here and go up. Well, up for a Tormod's Crypt. We end up going past a Blood Moon. We'll see if they can kill me here. Makes green, white, makes a black. Makes the other one. They play Spy. So if we would have had Magus down, the Pentad would have been shut off for at least a turn. Could have been like a 2 or 3 turns later. We'll check a few cards deep. I'm gonna let this resolve, and I'm gonna double check there's nothing anything crazy. So Creepings, we have the Vengevines here. Narcomoebas, Salvage Titans. Okay. 3, 6, 9, 12. 12, 16, 20. So the Vengevines will kill me here. See what else they brought in. There's the Claim. Natural States. Salvage Titans in here. Yep. Makes sense. Okay. Turn 3 off of a mulligan to 4 for our opponent. Pretty good for them. Pretty good. If we would have put the Magus out, we would have had one more turn. We wouldn't have gone up with the Chandra, and we would have had the Blood Moon. If we put Chandra in on turn 1, we would have been about 3 cards deeper, and we can look at those 3 cards here in a second. Salvage Titan returns. They're going to cast Salvage Titan with the swords being sacked here. And then they'll play Vengevine down. Once we see 2 of these Vengevines, I can concede. There's 1. Will they play the second one? They do. All right. Drawing a few cards here, it would have been Ritual, land. So we would have been a little ways away from the Karn, but I'm assuming my opponent would have had 1 more land there. All right, so we got a win here in game number 3. Probably no changes here. We like what we have as options, so let's go ahead and submit and see if we can steal game 3 and end the day on a win against all spells. Of course I want to play first. We have an Abrade and we have a Blood Moon. I'm going to keep this because I can Abrade on turn 2 and I can Blood Moon after that. They'll need Talisman plus Pentad or double down on these. If they don't have double down on these, will be pretty good. Not to mention I have a Bone Crusher Giant that does absolutely nothing. Opponent mulligans to 6 here, so they have a higher chance of getting their win, like this. We'll see if that's the case. Fingers crossed here. We need them to stumble a little bit. There's black mana. All right, we've hit all of our lands. Fingers crossed they end up playing something like a Pentad Prism. Talisman will work too. I'll follow this with a Blood Moon and they'll be on red mana only. Turn Timber, assuming this gets bolted in. And it does. This is not a very good sign for us. This is probably Natural State or Nature's Claim. So we need a Chalice on 1 probably. Now we're kind of stuck here because I need to somewhat do this Abrade, but I also need to take care of this. Let's go ahead and pass the turn because of the bolt-in of the Turn Timber. Love them to tap out of this green for me if that would be a-okay for them. There's white. We're gonna bolt in again. We choose not to. Looks like they're just gonna cast Spy here and we're gonna lose to the Spy. I need a Tormod's Crypt off the top. We hit a Ritual. Well, we can Chandra Ritual out the Blood Moon and see what happens. Abrade's definitely not stopping anything now. I could create a blocker here, but they have so many Vengevines that I think this has just got to be Blood Moon and hope that they don't have the green mana here. And the exact card we're talking about. This is the chance to do it. They do float the green, so they're good here. They float green and black. All right, Nature's Claim. Blood Moon down. Floating black for some reason. All right. You combo kill. I'm at 24 health now, which is interesting. An interesting spot to be at. I don't think it matters, though. I don't think the 4 life gained me enough. I'll just hard cast a Vengevine here. Okay. I'm very okay with this. Attacks me or attacks Chandra? Attack Chandra. Interesting. All right. Ah, there's a Chalice. One, two, three, Bone Crusher, 1 on Chalice. Just uptick here to see if there's anything useful on top of the library. I could also leave myself with an Abrade. Let's not look on top of the library here, and let's play Bone Crusher out, land, play out a Chalice on 1 here, and pass the turn, leaving myself with an Abrade. Kind of interesting here that they just played a Vengevine. Now I have a blocker plus the Abrade. This is definitely not the lines that I thought would be happening here. We'll be going up next turn. We're a spy away from getting punished here. They go straight to combat. I think I do trade here. I don't think there's any reason not to. This Bone Crusher Giant doesn't win us the game, I don't think. Like I said, we're about a turn away from something brutal happening. So Bone Crusher Giant trade with the Vengevine. Second main. This game's gone a lot longer than I thought it would. A lot of our oops all spells go kind of crazy. There's a Awakening put into play. Perhaps my opponent's flooded out a bit. Love a bridge. I'll take a Karn here because I could play Karn and bridge. Okay, here we go. Top of the library. It's a ritual. All right, well, we'll go ahead and cast the ritual here and then see what Chandra can find for us. She finds a... nothing. All right, well, we're passing back here. Passing back with just an Abrade. My opponent has to top deck the win, though. Fingers crossed. Be kind to us, top of library. Don't punish us. Now, I didn't kill the Vengevine with the Abrade because I'm hoping that one of my 6 other Blood Moons shows up. We have a tap land. That's a good sign. This isn't a good sign, though. Creeping Chill, okay. 4 mana being tapped always is frightening. We have 6 Blood Moon effects, 3 Karns, 3 bridges to hit. Maybe I can find one of those. I hit a Blood Moon effect. We'll go up here just to double check. Nothing. Play Magus and pass turn. Now we're looking pretty good. Mountains they have. Karn is our next needed item. Okay. Floats. Red. All the red. 3 mana. Okay, what's 3 mana that's colorless? Oh, Simian Spirit Guide. Oh, that's legit. Okay. Oh, don't have a second one, please. If they play 2 of these, I'm really tempted to Abrade one and Chandra one. At the same time, I don't think I need to be doing that. I need to be killing a Pentad Prism or something like that. They play a Pentad, though, they'll be able to put a Spy or anything else. By casting 2 Simian Spirit Guides, they get a Vengevine here as well. So we'll definitely, at this point, Abrade the Vengevine. We don't need to lose Chandra needlessly here. And I can't unlock their mana. That's just a death wish. All right, top of the library needs to be good for us. 3 damage in at Vengevine. Our move. They didn't play the Spies before, so I'm feeling good about them not having them again. Blood Moon's not a bad card pickup here. We'll go up. We find Karn. That's what we want. So Karn, and here I probably do just want to get the bridge. I don't want to randomly lose Karn here. We'll go get Ensnaring Bridge. And with our Chalice, this should be enough. They'll attack with both Simian Spirit Guides at Karn. I'll move Blood Moon plus Bridge here, and we should be pretty safe, especially since Chalice on 1. We're going to sneak out a win here against the menace of oops all spells. You may attack me, opponent. Attacking here is super good for us. That means they're not comboing us out. They go all at Chandra here, and I think that's a total mistake. I think they should be trying to clear a Karn at minimum. Karn means that all their Pentad Prisms and Talismans don't work here, so it doesn't ever fix their mana. And I'm about to play a Bridge plus Blood Moon. Cool. let's go. I don't believe I need to go down for anything new here. So we're just going to go up. We're going to go up for mana here. I believe I can attack first. Make it at least a turn less in the future. So we hit. They know this bridge is showing up. We'll play bridge first. We'll follow it with a Blood Moon, number 2. And there we go. Full lock, almost there. I think so. Thank you, Chalice. We'll F6 through this turn. I have no actions. Opponent can't use black or green mana. Blood Moon keeping everything shut down. And there you have it. Round number 9. Final one here. Our overall record is a 5, 6, and 3, it looks like. Not too bad for Red Prison here. 6 and 3 on the evening, playing in the ManaTraders series with the Red Prison. 7 lucky moons here in Modern. We'll go to a bit of a conclusion here for at least this one and see what we thought. Six and 3 overall here, winning quite a few of our first few matches and just a little bit of a bump there near the end. Our losses did come from Spider Space, which was on Charbelcher. We had Mogged, which was on the Red Prowess, the Obosh version, and Mortis was our Dredge opponent. Otherwise, we beat every single Uro and Omnath version that we did run into, and we ran into also Jeskai as well. So on the whole, I'd consider it a W for Red Prison. This is our list we've been running, Lucky 7, and I actually can't decide if I like the Abrade or the Bone Crusher Giant. We've played a few versions now where basically this flex Abrade becomes a Bone Crusher Giant, or we keep it as Abrade. If you keep it as Abrade, you have the one main and you have the one sideboard as well, which gives you that option to bring in a little more artifact hate. With some of the Charbelcher lists or the Oops All Spells lists we did run into, it was good to have that. We didn't run into Hammer Time, but if we did run into that one, having the extra Abrades would have been very beneficial, I'm almost certain. Our bridges did excellent, and the Blood Moons as well, and even with open deck lists where most people were double checking on their opponents, it benefited us in a way that I did not expect. So if you're able to play in an open deck list fashion and you think, well, that won't help Blood Moon, think again. Now, you have to be the best Blood Moon list, but that's what we do. Lucky 7 moons here, doing what it needed to. Darksteel Citadel was replaced with the Batterskull. We ended up actually finding that once. We got to boil someone. Plenty of bridges and chalices were played, and of course, many blood moons. Having 4 Chandras has always felt fairly nice here because it gives us a little more of that punch to win. Even though Karn can win, it's kind of fitting into this lock section here, giving us 17 things to lock out with. Seasoned Pyromancer's been great. Jump blocking and digging. Overall, I've really enjoyed it. Even some Rabble Masters doing the damage. The list feels fairly well-rounded and tuned for a larger event, so if you're ever turning into one and wanting to attend with some sort of Red Prison variants, this would be my recommendation. We have talked a little bit about this on our brand new website. Go check that out. And that will be down in the description below with a link to our website. Just check out the article section. We only just started. There's not very many there. This has been Red Prison, ManaTraders series here. One of our first ones to qualify for and finding some time here at the beginning of the new year. We hope you've enjoyed this, the 9 matches that you have here. And until next time, take care, and we'll see you in the next matches. Take care, everyone. Red Prison, lock 'em out.